Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Mending the Hoop Council. This is Siava, also known as Lisa Wolf, and my special guest is 13th Clan Mother, Karen Ann Lusick MacDonald, if I said that right.
You did well.
Welcome, Clan Mother.
Thank you.
And listeners, you'll see this if you're not with us right now. We are also live streaming to YouTube, and I'm using my phone because my computer's acting weird. So hopefully this will go well. Grandmother Karen, would you please do us the honors of doing the opening benediction? And if you feel like singing a song.
My Day of Atonement might be your day of atonement too. Okay, well, I'm on the road, so we're going to use a little bit of what I call liquid smudge. It's essential oils. So we've got some cedarwood, patchouli, and all sorts of cool things too. So if you want, feel free to join me in there if you care to burn smudge or you care to do sprays, whatever feels,
Let me grab a smudge stick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got one right here. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Okay, there we go. Anyway, Sasibo, thank you very much. At this time, we thank our Heavenly Father and our Mother. We thank you for all of creation. We thank you for the ability to come together as sisters and as brothers in our galactic and cosmic seeding and starlight nations that we have. We thank you for the ability that we're able to come together to help protect the food, the water, and be here for all those, for the animals, the children, and for each one of those with the intent of the heart to come back into the healing. And this is the purpose of our sacred hoop or our sacred circle and coming back in, that we are all here part of this medicine wheel. We're here part of a healing circle and a medicine circle. And that is part of our medicine wheel as well. So I thank you at this time. And we want to thank you for all understanding. This is a time of our creators for coming back together, for coming back into natural law, for giving us this opportunity to look at the blessings that we have, to look at the new visions that the people that carry those original visions of what the Mother and Gaia wanted us to do. So I'm very happy to be here at this time and to bring in some of that, as we call Bear Clan or Spaha, white bear medicine. That's what my role is. And that has been here, always has been here. And whether it's new to you, this is about us taking this time into our hearts. And we thank you for this. In our language, we say, Sibo, Mir, which is where the derivative of miracles come. Thank you, Missy, Limlich, Meglich. So thank you for joining us this evening. And I look forward to our conversations.
Hi. You gave me shivers. That's a good sign. Okay.
Gave me shivers in the end. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons.
So by the way, I just got a message from, I found out that Canada, Ontario, Quebec, Manitoba had an amazing storm, and many people lost power. I just got a message from my friend just now that said her electrician came and fixed, so I'm back full on power. He said 130,000 have no power, and some may not have it for a month. And she won't be joining us because she's really exhausted. But nobody in this, I didn't know. I rang her a couple of days ago, and she said her power had been out for 5 days. And I wanted to give you an opportunity we've talked privately about it, but
Mhm.
there's a lot going on up in the Northlands right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
look at them.
so here's the feather. Take it
There it
away,
is. There it
Clan
is.
Mother. What's going on?
Well, let's see. There's a few chemtrails up in those skies if you look really close. And as you can see, I'm actually in a health center retreat right now. So I'm actually assisting some people because what we're seeing here is a massive thing that I've talked about for years, which is why I developed and helped with Ryan Williams at Insight Health Apps and with Dr. Ariel Palocano, one of our top leading energetic medical doctors. And now we're seeing Dr. Debbie Drake on board, a lot of people. And that's at geniusbiofeedback.com. So what we're seeing is a lot of people getting contact vaccinosis, they're getting jumped. And you don't know how many people. If anyone should be squealing on what's going on, it should have been the holistic biological dentist, because we're seeing all the radiation coming in. It's affecting
Right.
the throat, the thyroid, the breathing, the blood pressure, the skin. All the people in these areas here, that's the first thing the women are complaining about. Their hair's all receding back, right? Thinning out. We're seeing rashes, but actually here, I'm doing a travel nursing, travel doctoring here as well. And if you can imagine, what are the two clients upstairs with? Contagious jumping contact vaccinosis. And it came from being at the dentist's office.
Whoa.
And that is, I'm actually another one of those. So I actually just had massive injury to part of my jaw and dental thing that I've been going through for about 2 months as well. And of course, I'm looking for my biological holistic dentist because I'm on the road temporarily now.
Right.
And what happens, I will tell you, I had my air tamer on. So I was wearing my little air tamer around here, blowing the negative ions, keeping my electrical field. I took all the spike protect. I doubled up before I went there. I took every essential oil just up known to like Nevessence or whatever I got from Tony, because we made some up for Radiate and Renew there at a place called nevessence.com up in Banff. And I went to see the dentist and he started the dental work. And I went back and I only had a local. And I have done dental surgery and extractions with this clove oil or meditation. But in
Right.
this case, I elected to take that. And I went back and I passed out for 7 hours. And then when it came to, I actually was bleeding vaginally and throwing clots. So I know what it's like to be spiked.
Wow.
So now I have the equipment.
Now
to
tell
identify that.
people what is happening when someone gets spiked. What's actually going on?
Well, I have a great friend of mine is Pamela Richardson, and we had done some stuff through another group called Vaccine Choice Canada. And about a year ago this time, I started teaching this because I knew about the venoms and the snake venoms and the biowarfare. I've been looking at that in conjunction with the vaccine since 2005. That's when I trained in this. So I left my, holistic part of that nursing career and I went into biofeedback. But then I became like iridology, live blood cell, dark field, that kind of thing. So I had a little bit of everything, in that sort of training. And we could very well see that jumping is a real thing. Shedding is a real thing. And even as a former neonatal nurse or people that are oncology nurses, they will tell you, you weren't allowed to get vaccinated and come into our units. That was a no-no.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah. So that was a no-no. So the jumping is a real thing. We actually call it contact vaccinosis. And back about a year ago in April, Dr. Ross Anderson got a hold of me and he was confined to bed close to 3 weeks on his deathbed. And I stepped in, and even though they'd done everything they knew up to that point, did their smoothies and did everything else, it took this kind of technology, which was basically what it was. I was just up there zapping the guys now. So this is like kind of a Tesla transmitter. We have a plate that you can use that you can imprint, import, or export substances or frequencies. So I can make remedies right in your very home. By the way,
wow.
If you simply have a pair of headphones or, a $3 earbuds, I can do it anywhere on the planet. And then I have them listening with some radiation earbuds. And we also have new bone conductors that actually tap or ultrasound right into the, almost the fifth, sixth chakra. And then what we were doing is, of course, you can see I'm a woman, I multitask. So this is a multi-port. And I actually was putting just like in the old days you see on the pyramids where they're holding the two rods of God almost like, they're holding those rods, the copper and the
Right,
gold,
right.
one, whatever, or
Focusing
the
the
silver.
energy.
Yeah. So these are the same things that Ryan developed at Insight Health Apps, but we do it through Genius
Nice.
Biofeedback. So we have these machines where you can actually just literally talk into it, take your picture, and then you're going to come out with like iridology and a scan. And from there, we can see the broken acupuncture points, the meridian, the spine, the minerals, the vitamins. And then I made a whole bunch of like what I call the weird stuff. But let's say, for example, it will tell me what the stress is, what the emotion is, what the mood is. And then more importantly, is it will tell me maybe what remedy I need. Okay, so in
Wow.
this case, helichrysum, the halo of Christ, cassia,
Yeah.
black pepper, because these people are getting really spiked heavy, right? So we need heavy duty essential
And
oils.
so, and then you can address that with frequencies that are in the Genius program.
Yeah. So in this case right now, it's playing everyone in the audience the remedies.
Are
right
those
now.
the remedies? Are they these that?
Yeah.
Good.
So in here, I'm the one that developed the venoms. I'm the one that developed the MK Ultra, the biowarfare, the bioterrorism, whatever bio thing you think you've got. And in here, it will tell me exactly what supplements we need. So it might be something as simple as Chinese 5 spices, because that has the star anise in it. That has black pepper. It has fennel. It
Right.
has cinnamon, very strong things. So, a lot of people cannot afford things like serapeptase,
Right.
nattokinase. I mean, those are not cheap, but we have a supplier up here called realrawfoods.com. And we've got now 5-in-1. So it's got the schizandra berry, it's got the quercetin in it, and they're about $40 some, which is a lot cheaper. Or our MMS, or what you call water purification drops, or sodium dichloride that Dr. Robert O. Young wrote the book on, or Dr. Clacker. So what you're looking at is we can get them up here for $20. So we've got some really innovative stuff. And like I said, I was just at Nevescence, which is up in Banff. And Nevescence, we actually got a whole bunch of oils because, we need very strong ones here. So things that are thyme-based, oregano-based, like the old raindrop technique from Dr. Gary Young, one of my early mentors, but Ajuan, and we made different things in here. So we've been taking actually veggie caps. I've had everyone on vegetable caps here, taking these orally, because right now we're all being affected through this route.
Right.
And then what I did do is I was on the road the last 15 hours with some people, and we've covered everything.
Did you have any weird time jumps while you were on the road this time, or did
that
you
was
make
last-
it from here to there?
That was last week. Yeah, it's almost 2 hours we're missing. You're right. Yeah, anyone who wants to check out what's underneath the coal mine at Genesee plant, by Edmonton, let me know. There's something very strange going on in those areas.
Let's talk about what is going on. What is going on? Why is the radiation so high? What is going on up there?
Okay, well, we know that if you go to News Inside Out, I did a whole expose with Judge Alfred Weber, who's one of our war crimes judges on the planet, period. And I love Alfred. He's one of the few people that will put his neck out, and he is a Juris Doctorate. He holds a Washington D.C. bar, but he's up in Vancouver, and he's done a lot of the war crimes with Kuala Lumpur, right? So I do a lot of stuff in there, helping with the new courts that are coming in to recognize those of us that are nationals, that we are still of First Nation purebloods. And I'm not Native, by the way. Most people confuse me with the red tribes. I'm not red tribes whatsoever. I'm off the white tribes. And that's why we're called the White Bear. So Alfred has been doing that. We've been talking so that they will now recognize the treaties, the 6 original treaties of peace. In Oshawa, we're getting into that. We're talking about my Noah's Ark. We might be talking about your peace pipe treaty. We might be talking about those wampum belts over there. We might be talking about the Platings of Troy. We might be talking about the Canes of Authority, or, Solomon's Seal. But those 6 treaties are the original laws of peace. And that's what the Constitution
Now, I have a question.
was to be founded on.
Now, you have also mentioned that there are also in place intergalactic treaties, which are also relevant.
Yeah, very relevant. And
when we get, because we've had one of our associates argue, that the original treaties that Musa mentioned supreme law of the land. And you've tried to point out that there are also some other treaties that are active from off planet. Could you
Yeah.
clarify that so we don't have to argue about it?
Well, just basically, I mean, I think Patty Broussard, I mean, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. Anyone that has any intelligence could go look at Project Ascension. There's a whole thing on genetics, on the RH, on the bloodlines, who came here and seeded it, what those root races were. This is not about countries. This is stuff that goes back, tens of thousands and millions of years.
Right.
And when people's has such a narrow little ant view on this, not only this planet, but fail to take into thought or consideration that Gaia set up this planet with ETs, with some benevolence, and with those treaties into place. Okay, so I'm not talking about the Grenada and the 1 to 10 that some country made so they could pay people off to kill their own people. So a band or reserve is deemed a third world country called an inhabitant.
Right.
And these are easy enough to look at. They've got about the same rights as a Goyim, human cattle does, which is not
Right.
much. And that's about the same as what, someone that thinks they're Canadian or waving their Canadian flags or their whatever flags, it doesn't matter. They're all Jesuit war flags anyway. The countries are de facto, they are bankrupt. The trust funds have been pulled. The whole quantum financial system is being revamped. And we've been doing this actively. I've been in it since 1997 to do with the trafficking of the children in the adrenochrome and coming after all the First Nations, not only clan, but tribes children's. We don't have where's 2,000 children going missing every month? We should have flags everywhere. What's going on? And so those galactic treaties are into place, and those bloodlines were protected by the International Galactics. So whether it's mine with the Noah's or Zoa's Arcturian treaties, those are some of us, the humans that are here, not all of them. And this does not apply to everyone either. Not everyone is human here. There are people that are hybrids. So people that want to make these claims do not have the foundation in law. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. You could go back to, the Iceman, Veroman, you could go back to the Denison, whatever. But we all are seeing what's going on here. And Project Ascension was pretty well courtesy of myself, Andrew Mallet, Sergeant Daniel Brad McBowen III, and of course, Sergeant Patty Broussard. And it was Sergeant Patty Broussard that kept a lot of these, that the Micmacs have kept a lot of these ET records and treaties intact. So a lot of the other places have been, they've lost their original customs, usage, and the laws. Some of the language has been lost through residential scooping. Which one of us wasn't scooped up? I mean, it doesn't matter. So it's very insulting when someone comes up, and I've been on reserves where people have been O negative and B negative and not from the original bloodlines that they would have been, because they've been co-opted and they've been selling these reserves to private groups. They may look like they're First Nations, but they're not. Even the natives is a different distinguishment. Even Métis is a different thing. And I've been on a reserve and been the only original bloodline there. So it's very insulting when people start saying, you Europeans, well, that's not the way this goes. This was an international planet with international journeying and traveling. And we know that there's maglevs. My gosh, at this day and age, when you don't know that there's maglev trains that go underneath here that can take you from Vancouver to New York in under an hour at 17,000 miles an hour, then they're idiots. And we have ships, we have treaties, we have other galactics here. I have lots of my friends that are, hybrids too, that are from different races. And each one of the people here, if you go back, the seeding races made up, what humans were here. And when people don't know their blood type, they don't know what nation they belong to, which is run by the Hague Court Council, which is your old Hagues are the clan mothers. And you had your 12 different nations with your 12 different clan mothers, your 12 different tribal mothers, and then a 13th to oversee them all. That meant there was 26 women that appointed, not a tarot card, but appointed the males, right? They appointed the males. They appointed them based on their intelligence, in their compassion, in maintaining the peace. This is not, and that's what they said, clamors. We have the two sticks, we have the two swords. We can be at peace or war. We're like the war and the peace chiefs. And we are the international peacekeepers. And so when you violate that law, and to think that, all of North America was called the America's Empire, it's empires. We come from different empires that were run by women, and they appointed
Empress. I'm so tired of hearing the
Yeah.
kingdom of heaven is coming.
Oh,
Excuse
please.
me.
Exactly. There's the domain, and that's when you don't know language. And in my language, like, we may say sasibo, right? Spaha, whatever. Heya, heya, ho, Yahweh, heyo. I mean, it's not that far off, potato, potato. When you actually get all the tribes together, they actually all sound very similar. It's just, it's dialogue.
Because they're
Really.
root races and they're root sounds.
Yeah.
They're the original fire words.
Yeah, and I don't speak
Living.
any of it well. I don't even speak my own well. But you get into that, and like, heya, heya, ho, Yahweh, heyo, Manitou, Makwa. And it's in the sound, it's in the toning, and in here, part of that is that we're responsible for maintaining our original customs, usages, and laws, not someone else's. And we are to come together. We are not one. Oneism is like scientism. And the oneism comes back to, it is, they don't even know what the word is. It's a Talmud word. Like God means like evil, or the god and the goddess.
Yeah, that's an evil ghost. God means evil ghost.
It's like your goth stuff, right? And so when they don't know, and you're arguing over books, you're arguing over language, it's because you're so lost, you don't even know what your original one is. A lot of times I had someone it was quite funny. I was in Calgary not too long ago, and there was this woman called Ancient Brown Bear that was adopted in by, sovereign Squamish nations and some native guy, right? And so I'm sitting there talking to her, and like I said, ancient is not a positive word. It's like back to the pyramid. It's like a manipulator, it's not the original. Yes. It appears as, right? And then Brown Bear, and I said, let's see if you're part of the bear clan. Like, I'll just like suss this out a bit, right? So I started asking questions. And these are people that they want to think they need to be adopted by someone, or abducted is another word, They always want to abduct me on any reserve. I'm like, no, not happening. Right. You can't give me a name. I already, we're nameless. I know who I am. I don't need to be adopted and taken in. I don't.
Hi.
When you know who you are.
This is true.
It's true. And, she who comes from the heaven that parts the skies, or, I've been called a few little things, like white calf buffalo, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. When I've been in those things, I've held those treaties that are 20 pounds. I've held those things that are older than, this country put together, which is falling apart, thank gosh. But, I did. I've held those. I mean, when I went to arrest a queen, Elizabeth, for, killing all the children out by Dead Man's Vignette, by the, now they're just doing the thing at the Arbor because they're 215 children. Oh, what, they just miraculously disappeared? Well, I was on those graves back in actually 2010.
They ate those children, as far as I understand. That's what
some children are killed
from.
Some are killed for adrenochrome, like all our children. I mean, they're used into MK Ultra projects. They're trying to transgender our children. They've got them gaming. They've got them so screwed up, and then they don't know if they're coming or going. And that includes even some of ours, and we won't even talk to the injection thing yet, because that's a whole nother story, what they're doing. But, in here, when the limited viewpoint, you can't look out here and say, hey, there's something out here. I mean, look up to the sky, or don't look up, but you go up here and you see what's on the terrain, what they're doing. And right now I spent 15 hours on the road. I covered everything from what you call the bottom of Alberta. Like, I was down to the Susuni Nations, back into the Blackfoot. Then I was in the Dene. Then I was into the Kootenays. Then I was in the Siniat territory. Back up. And I did a 15-hour circle like this the other day.
You did a circle. Good lady.
I did. I actually ended up in the same spot. Almost bizarre.
Good going.
Anyway, I was in to check the oils at Banff with Tony. I was everywhere. I went down to Radium Hot Springs. I was everywhere. I was in Vimmer. I was in Fernie. I was checking out all the mountains. But you know what I was looking for? And this was quite ironic, because a lot of friends, right? Everyone knows they need to bug out. They need to know, they need to be mobile. They need to be planting their gardens. But more importantly, maybe you should be mobile, right, with your seeds and getting container gardens. And the reason why is because while I was on the road, what I found out is I went to right near the border. I was like 10 minutes from the American-Canadian fictitious border, we'll just say, in British Columbia. And you know what? My alarms, my warnings lights did not stop ringing the entire time I was there. And that was right by the Tobacco Indian Reserve.
So tell people what you mean. You had a radiation monitor, is that correct?
I have many here. Aside from my biofeedback, which I can look at blood and live book. I also built a radiation detector within here. So I can actually tell you where's it accumulated, is it getting in your ovaries, your lungs, where's the gamma, the beta coming in. But
right.
Did some shows, and the reason I'm one of the experts in it now is because I used to hang out. But when we had an incident in British Columbia, otherwise known as Hope, behind it at Silver Creek and Penticton, they have been having explosions, we'll say, direct energy explosions, not just radon, not just mining, but we actually had blasts that went through, and there was direct energy weapons that went through people's houses that burnt people I know, burnt the dogs, they were bleeding out, and we had basically the levels of a Chernobyl and Fukushima there. Thank you, Health Canada, for not warning anyone. They would airlift a bloody cow that was pregnant for like CBC to get some airtime. But do you think they would take people that were bleeding, they were burnt, and they wanted to put them on the psych unit? And then the RCMP wouldn't deal with it properly either. And then BC Search and Rescue. Then I called 911, everyone in the Hope area, because you know what? They just wanted to put them in and inject them. They were looking for any excuse to get people into that fear mode. And when they didn't know what they were doing, and they blew an underground facility, is what I was told by many intel sources. And I have the pictures, and you can go to Inside Out, newsinsideout.com with Judge Alfred Weber. I did that. I also did it with another attorney, Ted Marr. And Ted
We'll
Marr,
put some links in
yeah,
after.
Ted
We'll go
Marr,
back and
out of
listeners,
this world,
we'll
out
put
of this
links
world,
into all this.
out of
And-
this world radio. He's got 13 million people. So I've been speaking to millions of people over the last couple months. Do I know what I'm talking about? I have the pictures. You can go look at it there. More importantly, is I happen to have had the radiation equipment. So when I measured it, and I will give you an example, to basically evacuate a city like Chernobyl was 0.35. Now, when I was, by the time I was to Prince George, it was 2 point something. Okay, so we're talking like 4 times Chernobyl levels at one point.
Well, that's what your radiation this week, the guy, what's his name? We've been at evacuation levels across Turtle Island for like 5 years now.
Yeah, some of this where you're going to go. Okay, so we had them in Saskatoon when I was there, like in the middle of the, University of Saskatchewan and Vito vaccine headquarters, and Monsanto is like, crap that they do, and Roundup Ready and everything else. So, I could go on. Eugenics capital of the world is there, and
Springtime for Hitler.
The psych units, federal psych units. Think of something, just pick a subject. I'm probably got some experience in it now. But anyway, so I've got these detectors you can get, and one you can get is called a SOAX Eco Visor. These are really nice. You can pick up a little radiation, nitrate, see what's going on. I have another one, which is my GQ, which is not my gentleman's quarterly, but it's for radiation, a GMC. So you can get these kind of detectors and put them on and see what the beta and the alpha is going on. And up here, of course, I have is another radiation, and this is like an RF tri-field. So this is what was going off and alarming, because what we're seeing is 5 and 6G, and 6G travels along the ground. So it's frying everyone. We don't just need a little post here. So here where my friends thought they'd be all safe of this cute little acreage that you see out there with the horses and everything else.
Well, isn't it true with Operation
We're getting burned.
Paperclip? They can interact with our electrical systems.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So here where, we went.
Period. Anyway, within our houses.
Yeah, my friends thought they were all safe here, right? And then I come along with my little detection meters and blow their bubbles and their dreams, which is usually what I do, but that's okay. And so which led me to 15 hours going in this circle, right? Well, where can we go? Well, the Kootenays are out, where are we going to go? Can't go to the Okanagan.
Is that what you were looking for? You were looking for a non-irradiated zone?
Damn straight, yeah.
That's what you were looking for.
I just
And
needed a ride out with the guys.
did you find such a place, clan mother?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
and
we're
I've
not
got
gonna,
it.
you're not
I've
gonna
got
give
it.
them up.
It's not going out to the public yet, but no, yeah, I'm actually looking for stuff, I have checks boxes and stuff like that because I've also been approached to set up those state-of-the-art quantum holistic integrative medical centers because of my
Well,
background.
you're welcome here.
Thank you.
And the winds are
Yeah.
picking up. It's so funny, talking about directed energy winds and tornadoes. We're getting our winds this afternoon. So if you hear
yeah.
noise, because we're in Anunnaki Central here, we're in the Carlin Gold
Yeah.
Trend, and
Yeah,
this
I
is
think I'm in Anunnaki
Queens
Central
Gold
too.
Plantation.
Yeah, well, I'm like, the over the 27th floor facility here by
So
Calgary.
so let's Queen Elizabeth arrested. What are we dealing with there? And what is her relationship to the other women? I mean, they know about the clan mothers. They know what's actually going on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I've been approached. I've been contacted by Queen Elizabeth's replacement, so I can't get into it and I won't get into it, but I was approached by her, in there. And when I delivered the evacuation and a severing of the actual agreements or treaties, there wasn't a whole bunch of people there. There's no Queen Ramona. This is not a king's domain. This is not even a queen's domain. This domain is actually the original mother's
Right.
land. And when people forget who they are, what they are,
well, we're talking the lands of Avalon. We're talking the Sacred Isles.
Yeah. And when when people don't know that's why I really send them back to Project Ascension, because we have it all documented there. And
it's a wonderful site.
Yeah, it is.
For anyone who hasn't started. It's a
great,
it's a university education right there.
This is a cosmic one, right? And this is the kind of stuff I was, reading like Elena Danan's, right? For a little light reading here too, if you don't know who she is. And then I'm actually having a blast actually reading Carrie Cassidy's thing, Rebel Genes.
Oh, really? It's good.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I've been actually texting a little bit with Carrie Cassidy, so I'm like really impressed. I always have been. Anyone that's in the pursuit of truth, and the kind of stuff that we've all been through, very similar experiences.
Well, maybe we'll have to invite Carrie to council.
Oh,
I know we're like a small rolling thing, but we are a real council, and it'd be fun to have her.
Well, what's really kind of funny is that probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I was contacted by Mr. Monsanto, and he wanted to take me and Carrie and Maria Wheatley into Florida. And then once they did whatever they wanted us to do in Florida, which they approached me to teach healing conferences and stuff, but I'm not for sale. So and being with them was not my idea. I mean, I grew up where they've destroyed everything around, like Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba. These ranchers and these farmers are pharmacists. They have injected chemicals and poisons throughout the entire prairies and have made them virtually unusable. And what little they did, including the bands in the reserve, have basically sold off or leased off to these companies, and they have destroyed their own, even the, what was First Nations at one point. These bands and reserves have basically destroyed what viable lands we did have. So that really, between the fracking and the tar sands and what we're seeing.
Doesn't that have to do with their alignment with, maybe I'm using the wrong word, but the Anunnaki off-worlders who really don't have any connection to this earth. So they don't have the love and compassion for our living mother, and they're able to treat her like a natural resource.
Yeah, there's actually different, genetics and stuff like that, like once you get into it. And I mean, some people just don't have soul links. That's a whole different, matter in itself. Like, and even trying to, teach people, like when I teach them about, like what I'm doing here now is taking and grounding, like there's another way to take your smudge stick, by the way, if you haven't seen it. But, you can take your herbs or your oils or your sticks, put them in a pot of water, spring water, heat it up, and you start steaming, and that's your internal smudging. So, whether we call it yoni or chayoke or whatever we want, but a lot of people need to get cleansed out. They're just too acidic, and this acidity is just absolutely insane, because that's what's making them negative and that's what's attracting them. And then the more acidic you are, also the more chance you have of the contact vaccines of the jumping. But here's just an example. So I was there with Bo and all the people on those copper plates. Those were the agreements with some of the different, as you think, Anunnaki and the Draco and stuff. Those were held by some of the first 13 nations with some of the tribes. So I held them. I had to verify them. I had to authenticate them. And we basically broke the agreement. You can see this one's actually got a bit of an L, like it's chipped out.
Uh-huh.
And it looks like an L. That's because we broke the agreement with them. So then they marched all over from nation to nation, tribe to tribe, to give them warning right to Ottawa, saying you're not allowed here. And some of these star discs, and I have been to the Stargate, you can see the star disc there.
Looks like a sand dollar.
It looks like a sand dollar, but it's stone. So there actually were things in here, and this is one from, again, Project Ascension. This is the blue Kachina one, but it actually, we have this stuff, and this is what Patty Broussard was going on. Those are some of my seals and clan mother seals that have been used for, 45,000 years. So it's really irrelevant to me when people come in and they want to start talking about, the Republic of 1776, or we're going back to be another republic. And I'm like, you haven't figured out the first time.
Who wants that stuff? Why would we want to keep replicating the Greco-Roman perverted government? I mean, all they've been doing is murdering our people every time we come in contact. I don't want their government. I want tribal original, which is still what's being done in the stars. If the original songs and ceremonies done on this earth, if you go home to the stars, they're going to be singing on the same songs at home in the stars. Why would I want to take some demonic government that doesn't work?
Yeah, most people, like I said, they're just so far down that rabbit hole. And I mean, I'm more about teaching people water technology, like getting an anima getting cleaned out. I'm more about putting those herbs and those steams in. I'm more about knowing.
Well, let's not offend anybody, but I don't want, sorry to interrupt you. But we're talking about topics that, and I don't want to disrespect anybody, but what about Anna von Reitz and the work that, I mean, I understand why people are trying to restore these states, but
She's
for
not
me,
a clan mother. Ramola's not a clan mother. Anna is not a clan mother. Neither is Kim Gogan. Okay, and that's part of it, is that council I just showed you, those were the bloodlines. You have to be a hereditary bloodline to have been part of that agreement to start with, and they're not.
So they're still part of the coup attempt. In other words, I don't mean to disrespect anyone, but they're still being used by that patriarchal system to try and maintain power. And they're like the pretty face on the power structure.
Well,
could you say that?
Yeah, you just said it well. You can go say that. That's nice.
Okay.
No, like one of the things, no, this is seriously, like, way back when, back in the 1997, I mean, because they were coming after my children. They were trying to scoop up all the children, anyone that knew stuff, anyone that questioned, straw man, birth certificates, license plates, taxes, everything like that, right? And it doesn't matter, I was with from Robert Menard back then to Winston Shrout, all those people in and out of jail.
Let me, another name I'm going to throw in there, Dana Dudley. Do you remember her? The woman who regrew the tail on her cat. And she was one of the women at the Montana Freeman camp. She was a constitutional. Anyway, I'm just throwing that name out there. Yeah, because she also moves in healing circles.
Yeah, a lot of that we have to remember that, again, we've learned somewhat, and this is where you get into the thing like the Christopher James and all these people, even people like Mark Passio teaching stuff like, what's natural law? Well, why aren't you teaching about the clan mothers? Because they were the best kept secret.
Exactly.
I mean, what was really funny is there was a guy called Boyd Anderson. He wrote a book, Trumpets Under the Radar, about the Malaysian Flight 370. Now, what happened is when they were planning all the Bitcoin and they planned all this gold heisting and everything else, he overheard a lot of it in 2007 and 8, by the way. And what happened, and he was with the biofeedback industry way back when, the old skill. I've gone on to more advanced stuff like the Genius now, but in here, he overheard them talking. And that was one of the first things. There was like Thomas Lilly and Mark Leibel and Mark Rich and all these guys that were planning these things, like the Illuminati background. And that was one of the first things they told them was like, clan mothers run the show. But remember, Queen Elizabeth set up her clan mothers. Okay, they're not the original nobility. They are the sang royal, royal bloodline, right? So you're like your blue bloods almost. Now what happened is that they came here to make deals. They were here to supposedly help people, but the people that made those deals couldn't even don't know how, necessarily, that you just, it's like potato trying to get, they just never thought they would come here and do this. That's why I have such a hard time with people that even in the natives or stuff, like they're all screaming about, this and that, and, this is our land. Well, it's the clan mothers were protected and they held the alloidal title, just like I showed you each one of those plates. No one tribe and no one clan ever holds it all. No one. And it was all shared between us so that you couldn't have these egos come in and take things apart or hoarding. So what happened in here is it was shared between all of us. Those duties were shared. And I was the only clan mother there. Now there's a big distinction. That's why I'm suggesting people go back to their basics and learn their bloodline. Or, I mean, most people don't even know what blood type they are. Like I may be positive. And there's some people that don't like when I say something about O negative. It's not that it's negative. It's not. It's this, they're hybrids, but they have non-Terrarian blood. And they may be cloned and they may not even know that. But there are many different hybrids and many races were allowed to be here with treaties as galactics to help people along the way and do intergalactic trade. Not saying that the children were a trade or the adrenochrome, but there were many, many benevolent races here, and there still are.
But this is unusual. That's developed where the beings are mortal. That's unusual in the multiverse, is it not?
I can't speak to that.
It's actually an aberration.
Well,
the fallen state that we find ourselves in.
Well, a lot of, if you get the time travels, and I know people that jump and time travel and stuff too, but if you look at a lot of that, I mean, like a lot of that is also some of us from our relatives from the future coming back too. I mean, some of us are connected, some of us aren't, so it depends. There's such a wide spectrum of things, right? But this is one of the things I wanted to bring back was this thing that we're talking about here called, I wanted to talk about Nushador, or it's called Salmiak. This is a really nice crystal, but it helps repair. It's an ammonium chloride, which helps.
Is that what this candy? Let me show you something. I'll show everybody because.
Well, most of that candy is GMO'd. Okay, so trying to find a clean Salmiak candy is almost virtually impossible. But this is what the original raw stuff looks like.
Okay. But that's this stuff.
Yeah.
So this is no good?
No. Okay. And they have not had, and I know what Patty Broussard has said, but I've actually talked to the people that run the place. I'm the one that found this, by the way, I'm the one that found it. So what happened is they temporarily had it here for a couple of years, and then they don't make it anymore. And so trying to find a clean one, and I stopped suggesting people trying to find Salmiak candy, because you know what? They're just going to make themselves sick with the food dyeing additives and the, FDNC blue and gosh knows whatever cancer causing.
Is it going to hurt me? I mean,
yes, it can. Yes, it can, because you're not looking at clean food. So right now I've suggested people go get the crystal or the rock. It's about $7 to $10. This will last you for the next 10 years. And you can take a little knife and scrape it off, right? Just like you put in your Himalayan salt shaker. It's very, very salty. It's like black salt.
Wow.
So, but I'd rather see someone with a clean variety of it, because the artificial stuff is used, and there's always a synthetic artificial, and they use that to clean batteries with, right? It's like Coca-Cola. But in here, this is what the Salmiak or
good to know.
Ammonium chloride is. And I've always said this from day one. In India, they use a lot of it for dental issues and respiratory and guts, and they call it what we call cavities. They call it tooth worms. But right now, this is an excellent thing to have. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that to your attention, because otherwise, you got to get it in white powder. And this is the stuff that.
And how do you spell that for our listeners? Lmiak?
I don't spell, but first of all, go for Salmak, S-A-L, like soul, your salt, Sol, M-I-A-K or C, depending where you are. In
Okay.
India, though, the word is called Nushador, N-A-U-S-A-D-A-R. So it's an old Ayurvedic medicine that's been used. And when I first got it, it was seriously in a dome, hand stitched with red actual, when you do the old sealing, like with a red candle, it was actually sealed
Yeah.
at each point. That's how
Wow.
sacred it was when I first got it. Okay.
Let me ask you a question since we're on the topic
Yeah.
about Vedic language prayers. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, anymore you have to be really careful what vibrational sounds you're putting out. Like, is the, Om Triambakam, is that a safe prayer to be running?
Well, okay. A lot of my friends, actually, one of my top friends, she's got one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard do kirtan, right? And Malika Salame, and Malika was out of Saskatoon. So, I went to a lot of the kirtans and Sanskrit stuff and then the Buddha stuff. And, we did all that kind of fun stuff back then. But, you listen to the words and break them down. My Lord, this, my Lord, that, da 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 da.
They're
Again,
just as fallen.
yeah.
All of them do. I mean, it swept over the whole solar system when the overthrow happened. And where's our triune Godhead?
And so you look at what we did.
Mother?
Yeah, you look at in Project Ascension, there's a big 13 back calendar, and you will see where they brought in Buddhism. They will see where they brought in the fake Christianity. You will see where they brought this in. And again, that's where people need to open their minds. We're not the only little, fledgling out here. And we're seeing stuff through friends of mine like Gina Colvin Hill, which has got her own channel. And she's a friend of mine. I connected with her years ago before she even got big. But you're seeing the portals open up in Nanaimo. You're seeing the portals open up where the, Whistler Mountain is in BC. We are now getting a bunch of rocking. We are having these, and they're not earthquakes. I can just put earthquakes, Penticton, earthquakes, Alberta, like what's up in Grand Prairie. Everyone's noticing the shakings here. Everyone's skin is going. Everyone's feeling the dullness or the heaviness. Not too many people have to be almost brain dead to not feel it. What we're seeing a lot of, though, is also a lot of people that have taken the injections are becoming more magnetized, but by that point, they're also increasing in their ability to shed and affect all of us. And that's more where I'm focusing on right now, is getting people alkalized, getting them on a biofeedback. Because my gosh, you can put your own biofeedback on a phone for free. Genius Biofeedback or Insight Health apps. They have 14 days that you can actually scan yourself and look to see what kind of emotional stuff has been done. Are you carrying anything, or what's the mineral, the vitamin you might be lacking? But more importantly, we need to get people, up and running into
So
here.
maybe at some point, not tonight, but we ought to do a demonstration and walk through.
I can give you, actually, it's so simple. I can do it in like 2 minutes. So, I will just show you that without going into too many details, but all you need is an iPhone, an iPadlet, or an iTab. It's not rocket science. There is an Android version and there's an Apple version. So it is not designed for the laptop. At this point, the only one it can interface with is an Apple, the new one, the MacBook, the expensive ones, right? So, but for the most part, we want it portable. So all you do is you get your little Genius Insight Health app from, I told you where to grab it, and you download it. Now it will say untrusted, and most people have no idea what it's like. A lawyer, you don't want to trust anything anymore, right? So you can get it free. So it means manual override. So in that case, you have to go to your settings and you go to general here, and then you're going to go to device management, and you're going to see the possibility wave. And that's why you have to do a manual thing, because you're not paying for it in the Apple store. Okay. So I don't need 10,000 letters on that. And if you do, call Dr. Pelicano or Ryan Williams. Okay. So once you get it in here, and I'm just going to back it right out, you simply take someone's name, the date they arrived, and hopefully what dot it will be. And then basically you're just going to go in, and I'm just going to do me again for whatever reason. I can also make notes. Now you don't have to, this system works off grid. So if I want to, I can actually run it with a solar system and I don't need Wi-Fi. So once you have the software, I'm not dependent on the government. So this is not bad 5G, people. It's healthy. And so right now I'm just going to start a new analysis. And from there, what you do is there's a little microphone, and can you see all the little prompts, Lisa? Like seriously, it guides you all the way through. Like, if you can't read, then we got a problem. But anyway, you go into the microphone, you can see it's flashing at you. It says flash, flash. So I hit the microphone and I start recording my voice, and I can say the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, and T, U, V, and W, X, and Y, and Z. And now I know my ABCs. So we're going to say our vowels now, A, E, I, O, U. And this is Karen. So you've recorded the voice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to analyze the voice. Then we're going to take a picture. So if someone's intubated in ICU, obviously they're not talking to me, or I'm talking to a baby, or I'm talking to a cat, or I might do a land clearing, or I could have done those horses out there today, right? Yeah. I have the ability to do clearings, and I was brought in by a lot of the First Nations to go in and do land clearings, right? Because there's a lot of old energy that's been here for multi-generations. So I've used this, even with the Sinayax. And she says, oh, Karen's finally bringing back our Star Nations, you know, our bear clan medicine. So anyway, so then you take a picture of yourself, and hopefully you like it. And if not, you just retake it, you know. So I do my little picture. Looks done. But whatever. And you put it through there. So a lot of times I've done people too, and I do celebrities all over the planet. I was in Scotland today, and I did 2 in Vancouver already, because I had a little 10-year-old girl that couldn't get up from contact vaccinosis with headaches. So one button, that's it. Everyone can read. It says begin analysis. That means if you're anal, we're going to reverse it. So that's it. That's it. If you can read and say, hit the button, you got it. Now all your categories come up, and you just see what you want to do. So I don't have to go to see the chiropractor. I can go in and say, hey, what does my spine look like? Oops. A little bit of neck. Ooh, yeah. Liver, a little bit of low back, whatever. So I might just want to actually hook myself up and actually give myself a spinal adjustment, right? So I could do something like that. That would be really fun. So on anything, you can just do a quick therapy. Not rocket science. So it's got nothing to do with listening about it. It's actually designed to pulse to you. So that's really about as complicated as it gets. You can look at the aura, you can look at the mineral, you can look at the vitamin, and more importantly is you can send it to yourself, just like they're using graphene hydroxide with the Tesla freezes from a distance. Well, guess what? So can we, but for a positive end of it. So I like to use the water. So you can see a little bit how hot pink my pore is actually. Okay. And that's without working on it. So
what happens after the I think we're getting some freeze here.
Yeah, you're freezing.
Can you hear me, Karen?
Yeah, you froze. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm going to keep talking because I think we're still live here. So anyway, what I'm going to just do is actually put some of these things that everyone could use, minerals and vitamins. Will give you all a bit of an emotional lift. I'm going to put all the things in here. I'm going to put a detox and like a parasite cleanse in here. And in this case, I might decide to do even, let's say, like anti-venoms or something. So I made those up. So I do know what's in coming off the vials. And so we're limited, where I was spending the whole summer with Lorraine Andrews at True Health Canada. And I did some stuff. I did a show as well with Dr. Robert O. Young and Tony Pantolaresco and different things in here. It's going to tell me things. I might need some a homeopathy. I might need some black salt. I might need activated charcoal. I might need to come off gluten. I need to get alkaline. And then I might want to look at the venoms that are coming off. And it could be in the chemtrails, it could be in the food, it could be the graphene hydroxide, it could be anywhere. And it has been for years, since 2017. So it's not new. So right now it's scanning all the libraries, and we may have, 30 of it. But in here, for example, if I want to know, like at the microscope, because I can ultrasound, if there's someone in there that was near a spike protein, it's going to actually show me that, and it will show me that there's going to be a spike protein and the loss of the zeta potential. So it will show me the acanthocytes. Or in another case right now, let's say if people have been through sexual abuse and ritual abuse, I have something for that. If there's post-traumatic stress, if anyone's been subjected to vaccine recovery, whatever it might be, I have 101 things in here. But, right now I've been doing the radiation because everyone's being exposed to radiation here. Okay. And so these are the kind of things that we're starting to see here.
Right.
And then more importantly, let's say if I'm looking at venoms and stuff, or how many people can't breathe, chest, or they misinterpret I can't breathe as anxiety or a panic attack, and it's not. Everything is almost right now radiation 5 and 6G, quite frankly.
Right.
And we also have solar radiation. So, wow, we might need some other stuff here because of the solar radiation coming in, the corneal mass ejections, the DUMS. I have an entire thing here just on the deep underground military bases that, if you're over one here, those are certain things, or bioterrorism, which is my other favorite thing, right? So you've got a whole section in here. You can look at anything. So you may be starting to develop symptoms of the prion. You might be developing signs of that age. You might be developing scarlet fever. You might be Hanta, Marburg, monkey, whatever. It's not that there per se is the virus, it's the radiation, what it's doing to us, and the poison that you've been subjected to. So what this is it's like spyware and malware. And I'm like Bones from Star Trek. So what I just do is load up all those things into here. And within seconds, I have the antidotes, which is actually, I call it
the frequency.
I have the antidote.
The frequency antidote.
I do. And so from there, I can start going in. And my newest one, that's what I'm saying, Dr. Brian Artis and all those guys or whatever, I knew about the venoms a long time ago. But you know what? If you've got a venom, you have an antivenom. Right. So then I might be telling you what is that antivenom, and things like Chinese 5 spices, spike protect. All those things are great. One of the best things is frankincense, myrrh, sandalwood, cedarwood, pine, spruce, fir. All those things
now,
are great.
what about flower essences? When you can dial up frequencies on a tablet, do we still need to be making flower essences and gem elixirs?
No, but I like them, quite frankly. But there's a thing I made. No, I did. I made one too. So there's another book called Flower Essences, which is your acupuncture, your EFT points. Okay. But it might tell me which one you actually do need, where it goes, and why.
Wow.
But, and I know it's weird, but I've actually done it with people. And I did this on Project Ascension, where with Andrew, I spent about 10 minutes giving him some stuff to do with copper, and he could taste the copper in his mouth. We used to love doing that, like giving lilac and lavender to people.
Yeah.
You can start smelling it in a couple minutes. So it's not unusual that we do that. And right now, just for fun, just because it's me, I put like 228 items in here. Right?
Wow.
Okay. So for every, and it's no different than if your disease is no different than this cup.
What a bouquet.
That's
quite a,
this is your disease right now. So what I'm going to do is use these sounds, or actually the pulsing, even better. And you use that sound, and what happens is it will shatter the disease process, just like we shatter cancer. And you can see that with Dr. Anthony Holland is shattering cancer with frequency and sound. And sound is more powerful than light. So even your photon belts and all this sort of thing, and everyone's talking about a regen bed. You guys should be doing this instead. Because what happens is the regen beds, and there's so many fake things out there. There are people that are taking pictures of their beds, and then they just run a machine like this for 8 hours at night. Well, of course, you're going to feel different. That's scalar wave technology, but is that really a regen bed, a Tesla bed? No, not really. So
Right.
these sort of things, people are trying to make money off people's
Right.
ignorance, or they're making them charge like a Tesla coil transmitter, like 12 to 20, $30,000 I've seen, and people are putting like these little generators with basically organite crystal under your bed. I mean, yes, there's some things that are gonna make a difference, but not like this kind of stuff here. And
So
this is why
we broke up. What happens after the 14 days?
after 14 days of this, you get it for free for those couple weeks to try it out, however you want to. And if you want, they have a monthly subscription, but you have to phone and talk to them because it's not advertised, but it's there. And it's under $100. It's cheaper than going to a therapist, quite frankly, or a doctor. And most of your therapists probably run between $60 to $300. There are people running the old Skeel machine and Indigos, and
Right.
doctors will just say whatever, but those people are charging $300-$400 a crack, and that's nuts. And so you can get it for, I think it's 97 US a month. The packages run.
I mean,
and
it's the basis of a healing center. I mean,
it is, and you can change it to whatever you want. Like my Skeel, that was a $50,000-$60,000 investment. That was only in the hands of our elite private clinics or people that had the money. And that's absolute garbage. So we made these so that they could go into every phone, every iTablet. You could use it. I have 4-year-olds that do this. I mean, here, let's just pick the right color and rebalance your chakras, like whatever, or do the spine like I showed you, or just give yourself an aromatherapy session. If you want the heavy duty thing, there is a thing in the back, which is what you call Royal Rife. And I could go back to the Royal Rife in here. I could look at any cancer you want. Let's say you do cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, depression, whatever you want, but you just go into the category that you want, pick it out, and, check yourself. And then it will find the frequency that you've been probably injected with since childhood. Remember, this
Right.
is an implant. We are responding to a negative environment.
Right.
And so basically what we're doing is we're looking for anything artificial, synthetic within your 12-foot bubble, and then you find out
Right.
what it is that you're resonating most with, and then hit the right button. And so they have packages, and then there's one called an Odyssey too. So if people just want to get the voice part and a preload thing instead of Heelys and other little things that are out in Spooky Twos, we have that. We were the forerunners. We carry at least 10 different apps. And so what happens if you want that, there's an Odyssey for a couple hundred. If you just want the water fractal where you put your water glass on it, it makes cute little like PowerPoints and sounds and Dr. Emoto and EFT stuff. Yeah, that's $100. If you want the straps, if you want whatever, but the Genius is different because right now what I'm doing is I'm analyzing, I'm doing the photography, I'm doing the remedies, and then I got a Rife code in the back. And that one, they have 3-4 different packages that you can choose what you want and you can mix and match. So, and they're usually over a couple months, to do, I think, basically the installments. I have nothing to do with that, to make that very clear. So if people want stuff, they can get a hold of Dr. Ariel Policano or Ryan Williams, either or.
All right.
And we have 8 different things, I think, with Dr. Ariel Policano at Genius Biofeedback and Ryan at Inside Health Apps. We are running free classes every week. There's probably at least 8-10 hours. Everything's backed up on YouTube or Rumble. We have Energy Medical Summit. So I teach the summits. I was just approached by Dr. Ariel Policano this afternoon that she says, I think your tribe, and there's probably about 20,000 of us using this in the biofeedback industry, which is very different because there's a lot of people, like we've seen people like Tom Palladino or other groups. What happens is that you pay them and they run it usually up to $2,000 a year. So there's several $100s a month and you are not in control. That's someone else pushing your buttons. That
Another
again,
priest class.
when
The
if you
priests
know
are running
about
it.
what happens, and this is my thing, is that this is your information, you fix you. And I have listened to a lot of these therapists. They're not even aware that there are 3 strands of DNA. So even because it operates on scalar wave, it operates on biometrics. That means you are interfacing with that client.
Right.
That's your 2 energy fields coming together. And I certainly wouldn't want a lot of those people in my energy field to start with.
Right.
And having said that, that is exactly why I do not take on any clients that are PCR tested, injected, or doing that. So unless someone wants to and they've been injected, that's an absolute no-no when you know about interdimensionals, walk-ins and archons, and what this nano AI and the ETs have
Right.
for this technology of what you're tapping into. And those are people, it allows you to remote view in a sense. And I've had people that they've opened their third eyes up, they became remote viewers. I've had people become clairvoyant, clairaudient, emotional stuff. We've had people come out of comas. I assist lots of people coming off medications, but in this case, we cannot unvax someone. There's always stuff like spike protect or spike protein detoxing, knock yourselves out. But there's nothing we can do to fix the creator's code that you were given as a gift from millions of years handed down by your mother. And it's been broken now and shattered. So the essence is basically that if you are like an egg and that RNA and empty DNA codes and all those things are like the shell, that's your protective coating, they have now cracked that and we cannot fix it. We cannot put Humpty Dumpty back together. And so a lot of these promises about this will unvax you or whatever, taking a little bit of like, heavy metals off, well, that's not rocket science, but is it going to fix it? No, not ultimately. And if you extrapolate the studies that we've seen, they have between 0 and 700 days. And we just saw some stuff resurfacing. And I know when I've done things like Frontline Nursing and Vaccine Choice Canada, and I've talked to some of the top professionals, we are all telling you the same thing. We cannot unvax it. And so that's not something that I'm taking on myself, but there are people that have been using this kind of technology to assist, alleviate for palliative care with the symptoms. So, I mean, there is a purpose, but not something I want to tap into energetically myself.
Right.
We have a much bigger picture of what we're looking at, just trying to help those that we can. And a lot of the centers that were popping up all over here, like these Ezra wellness centers, have gone from public nursing to private. Most of them all been PCR tested up the yin yang for the last 2 years. So they're as toxic and as infected as someone that's been injected, and that's the last thing we need is the people that are clean and pure bloods. Like right now, we're trying to set up our own here. And, just trying to find a colon hydrotherapist like myself, or a massage therapist, or a chiropractor, or a dentist that has not been, vaccinated.
Do they have to be licensed?
I'm not worried about it. As long as we've had our training, that carries over. Even when I did biofeedback, I was with the first Canadian biofeedback school in the Quantum Alliance back in 2005, which only lasted a couple of years. It was all word of mouth up to them, like the Hulda Clark stuff and the zapping and the Tesla stuff and the radionics. Everything was word of mouth. We're all like grandmothered in for the most part. But, and we have stuff like the IQ UIM. So, I mean, I've got a 40-year medical nursing career. I was a former neonatal nurse. I had 1,200 nurses under me in the Royal University of Saskatchewan. Does that make me any bright? No, it means that I learned everything after I got out about healing and what real nursing and the nin her hag was, and coming back to what nurses are, that were not co-opted by the royals and registered as property for being drug pushers. And if the nurses had actually done what they should have been doing with their due diligence and in the oaths that some of us took to protect and do no harm, then they should have been the first ones to stop this. And this would have ended day one, instead of them profiteering on a death mission on the suffering of others. Oh, absolutely. Right. Even in Dr. Huff up here, a lot of people are all excited about the D-dimer and all this kind of stuff. And the doctors are going on tour, right? But they all want to give you ivermectin. They all want to give you HCQ. They all want to drug push you. And make no mistake, Dr. Huff had 600 patients underneath him. And guess what they're all going to do? Probably wiped out all the First Nations in the Okanagan. Thank you very much. So Lytton deserved to be taken out, because those are direct energy weapons that were underneath those places, underneath the transit systems that needed to go. And they're not done even close yet. So how I look at things, and these people were party to the demise and the execution and the genocide of perfectly great genetics that have been here millions of years, that will not survive this. This is worse than smallpox. This is worse than giving everyone cancer. We cannot do that. And when you know about genetics going on and off this planet, or regen beds and stuff like that, they're absolutely screwed now. That affects even your next life and your reincarnations and the genetic codes, the soul codes, the physical codes.
It goes up the
It
etheric
goes,
levels.
yes, it does. And so, I'm not a fan of all this. I'm so glad you just got to this point that we're learning about it. But in here, it is so, so important, in there. And what we had to do, because there were no other clan mothers. It's amazing how they all just keep popping up in teepees all over the place now. But, and it's funny because I was approached actually not that long ago by the, SSP and the Secret Space Program and those people. And I had to get my DNA and RNA preserved. Because if
What's so
something's
funny
mutated-
to me,
Yeah.
Karen, is and where at the moment you're not welcome, and all I can see is it's just jealousy and competitiveness, and I find that as a councilwoman, as a clan mother, how to bring everyone into circle, because people are inherently competitive and they're trained to be mean, and it's doing it. It's like, I I resonate. I know that you're real. You know what I'm saying? I know it on every
I've gotten holographic some days. I think
level
I'm
of my being.
anymore.
It's like, okay. And I don't, if there was only supposed to be one of us on Earth, there wouldn't be a bunch of us, We're supposed to celebrate and lift each other up, but be respectful. That's one of the biggest problems with bringing the councils together, is just this random need to denigrate, and not.
I appreciate that. And that's one of the things too, is that Patty has made it very clear. And that's why Patty's got that intrinsic information. There are tribal matriarchs. Tribes is tribes blood. Clans are clans. So whether you want to think of them as old souls and new souls, whatever, however we want to determine that, the genetic coding is about that long. So let's say for the Snayaks, which don't exist according to Canada up here, even though I lived with them, and Marilyn James and Chief Bob Campbell, right? I decided one day I should put a teepee on, Occupy Nelson. So we did. But, those are the kind of things when you live with people that supposedly don't exist, right? And I learned an awful lot in the 5 years I spent with those matriarchs, let me tell you, right?
It was just a figment of your imagination, Karen.
No. And you look at something in genetic codes, and I'll never forget going into like Underground Nelson and going into the archives, right? And I'm digging up the Kamloops Wawa, where the Jesuits came here in their black robes and they taught diplomic.
You're lucky they didn't take you in the sacrifice room.
Oh, I've been in a few rooms in the back, if you don't want to, and a few shackles here and there. Anyway, I've had my hand broken by sheriffs in Saskatoon for signing up for this stuff. But anyway, we went in and, I looked at this diplomatic shorthand. This is what they taught, the people in the Okanagan and the Shwetmak tribes out there, like Shuswaps and stuff. So anyway, but, we're out there and the genetic code was a B164 and it was bigger than your, social insurance number, right? And that's the genetic coding, right? Which they're not going to tell anyone. How I stumbled on it that day in the archives. Anyway, again, those are the kind of things that are kept by, some vault in the, in the Bosini Mountains in Romania or something, or like, in the Svej vault with the rest of the seed program, or are hopefully in our Arcturian ships, which are the Noah's Ark, the space arcs going on. They still got our genetic code there somewhere. But, it was funny because that was part of this thing that happened with myself and one of the other, I was with someone that was military, JTF. And anyway, so we're off here, right? And literally, they came to check my genetics. And I'm the only one left, whether they like it or not.
That's what you said. You disappeared for 3 hours. And it's because they were checking your DNA to make sure you were still cool.
Yeah. And to make sure my genetic code wasn't mutated at all. So it's very, very important. It's not just about having a bloodline, it's about having unmutated, unprescription. So you can't be conscripted and you can't prescripted.
So there's no code virus in you.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to get bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit in, bullshit out.
Yeah. And part of the genetics too is so that, in a pure blood right now, even you can't intercourse because you don't know where that's coming from and the mutation that would have to the genetic pool at this time, because
Oh,
people forgot they were not supposed to be like incesting in their own blood groups, but nor were the Rh
right.
negative and positive to be intercoursing as well for certain things. And so that was the whole point, is we were to come here, enjoy the place, have this, but the alloidial title, whether people like it, and Castus and Mrs. and everything else, and Judge Urban and whatever else, it doesn't matter if it's Canada, States, we hold the alloidial titles. And some people
Yay.
like to think that we've heard like, oh, well, we've listened to Meredith Quinn stuff and they surrendered to these people over here. I said, no, they didn't. This was an international council. You had Euractarian here, we had this one here, we had that one there, and they didn't. So even that the information that has been so waylaid, through people, let's say, I know Tim's done some stuff and Moon's done some stuff, and one of the other guys is actually, well, some of the stuff Lester House has done, right? But I mean, it's always
Yeah, yeah.
interesting. You can go look at that, but it's more interesting to read all the comments, and you see what happened in those tribes and what their real personalities and morals and ethics are like, and it doesn't matter. I'm not here to prove something, because the difference is they came to us. They could not arrest the queen without us. The Q command could not come up here and start cleaning out dumbs without us. And, we
That's
have
very
that
good
authority.
news.
No, it is.
Thank
It's true.
goodness.
And I said, you didn't get the phone call. You don't spend time with them, and even that, like, in with Patty Broussard, she's not a tribe mother, not even a clan mother. And you start looking this and acting and stuff like that. I mean, I can go into 101 things and show you fake Trump ID. So I've had enough stuff. This is why I've backed off so much of this stuff.
Yes.
At this point, our thing is to basically get in and assist in the antidotes and keeping everyone alkaline enough to get through this, because I just saw the Showman wave, and that is being affected as well now by the pole shift. And now with the cordial
I
mass
see.
ejections, we're getting hit here. Like, there's not much space here for like, flexibility coverage right now. And
Right.
3/4 of my clientele is 1-to-1. It's on Facebook, it's on Telegram, it's on MeWe, it's on Skype and Zoom, and lots on Facebook still, because people are ill and they want answers right away. And as much as we're trained in tribal medicine, Vedic, TCM, whatever my background I've got in there, that's why I went to biofeedback, because our old medicines do not always work for this. This is nanotechnology, so we're having to use a
Yes.
little bit of these minerals. And I've been having to hook up people to this just to get their electrical fields back. So we're having to use things like this to trickle charge ourselves back, and it's got all the traditional tribal medicines in it, So if I need to look and you need sweetgrass, it will tell me that. If it's Hopi tobacco, it will tell me that. But 10-to-1, that's not usually what it is. So that's why I
So do
prefer.
you have, I mean, the various centers, because obviously, the center here is in development, but, as far as being part of that alliance, and like I've been saying, I mean, I know we're not traveling a lot, but we could actually put some on the ground workshops together in advance,
Sure.
do some.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, and I do workshops all over the planet, like all over the world, actually. And I mean, I don't care if it's like 3 people and we're teaching foot spa massages, or, whatever it
Right.
might be, or sounds, or we're doing healing waters. Because what I didn't tell you so much is I was using these waters that we were recoding with, I call it the mother codes. Anyway, we're recoding the water and I'm having it put back into the local tributary. So I'm putting it in the waters, into the spring water stuff, maybe into your local well, giving it to the animals. Like, I mean, anything I make here has been going out to the cats and the dogs lately, because they're losing their hair. And so any workshop can be done from a distance. And we've done that, where we've actually had everyone like sit here and go get your, like, steam chairs, and we all have a like steam party wherever we are. But, like I said, people don't even know about those simple things about doing yoni or vaginal steams or chai yolk steams, whatever you want to call it. But if you went to steamychick.com and just find a practitioner, you're going to go, wow, what is 1,000 different spas know on North America that I
Right.
don't, that I'm not doing? What are those women doing to re-virginize? What are they doing to rewomb? What are they doing to mend their sacred hoops? You know, or
Yes.
doing a yoni pearl, or doing this, because right now I've got women that are bleeding. I've got women that are prolapsing. I mean, 20 and 30-year-old girls that are prolapsing that haven't had children yet because of the radiation and because of the
Right.
vaccine content jumping that's worse than any smallpox we ever saw. Forget the monkey stuff. I know something just got flashed here. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, that's, if you want to do something like that, I'm certainly open, or anyone can approach me, or as well, myself, Ariel Pelicano, or any of the other therapists. We've got trainers on board for that too.
Absolutely. I started doing at the Yoni steam seats, and really, just haven't gotten one yet. I'm the grandma in residence here, and it's planting season. So but I'm definitely looking at getting one. And I mean, David's my cousin, and I was trained at Christmas Star by John Cohen, and, but I'm alone here. So,
Well, a lot of those, like, I'm just going to screen share here just for a minute, because I'm sure people going, what the hell is she talking about? But anyway, if you enable my ability to screen share, because it's been disabled.
oh, okay,
So,
let me see. Hold on. This
what
is
happened?
this
Yeah.
is the phone thing. So hold on. Let me see if I can.
I
Oh,
usually prefer just to like screen share now these days rather than trying to
meeting
hold up things.
settings. Yeah,
Yeah.
let me see if it's in there. Otherwise, if I hit share, okay, let's see. I think it's going to be heating. Okay, it's going to
Anyway,
be in
if
share.
it comes back in, we'll worry about it another time. But I really
Right.
dare people to go in and just go Yoni steam chair, look at images, go to Yoni steam pearl, go to images, go to steamy chick or red tent wellness. Up here when I was in the arbors and stuff like that for protecting the sacred at Lillooet, where we had, Chief Phil Lane and Chief Daryl Bob and all the rest. So, I mean, there wasn't too many. There was like probably about 1,000 of us. And again, they recognize the integration of, it didn't matter if we had the yellow tribes there, the red tribes there, the black tribes there. We had people from all of us there. Even those of us with our white tribes and our clans and our tartans from Tartarian, like we are tribal as well, and
I have to say something in advance, because I got an email from Marie Claude of Life Givers, and she wants me to come to council on Saturday publicly because they have problems with people. And, I'm still traumatized from that last council that Stuart was at. And I really, I have PTSD, and I am really finding it hard. And I know he's not conscious of it, and the people around him. So I'm going to say it right here, because I'm scared. I can't be in meetings with him right now. I'm still too traumatized. And if that means that you need to cancel my membership in your Life Givers Nation, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be intimidated and told who I can associate with and who I can't associate with, particularly by a man. So
yeah, and I get that. Like, that was so important, because I've been in that Facebook group for like a decade. Like, I mean, they know me, right? But they don't, but when you question that, and it's, this is who I am, this is who it is. But when you're recognized internationally, I'm recognized by international judges and courts. I have a special pass that I am given so that I'm not detained, molested, or anything like that by the international courts, because I don't need that. I'm not here to prove anything. I don't care
to argue with people who obviously knowing this.
Yeah.
So thanks. I'm not going to be at your meeting on Saturday, because if you want to have a private conversation where you don't have to like attack me publicly and make me, traumatize me further, I could talk to you guys privately about it, but I don't
freezing there.
want to embarrass you and myself. So
yeah, and
I'm getting it off my chest now.
A request here too, because Grace has just joined us, and I really don't know Grace. And I think that that's one of the things I think that I mentioned to you is that when people come into council, we need to have 2-3 minutes just to introduce ourselves because a lot of times
Yes.
we don't. And I just need a 2-minute blurb. I can go do my background checks later sort of thing. But I think it's
Yes,
really important.
thank you. And I did say that we were going to do that, and it was just you and me.
Yeah,
And generally, our protocol is going to be opening prayer, opening song, and then
frozen again.
everybody who's there, a 5-minute introduction. If you want put on the agenda, let us know. So shall we? I'm Siava. I'm the clan mother of the Rainbow and White Buffalo Nation, asked by Great Spirit to do this work. So I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Karen, you want to do your intro?
Okay, I'll do that too. I'm Sasibo. Hey ho, Yahweh, hey yo guys. No, I am a 13th clan mother. I am the White Bear Spaha. So I represent the white tribes and those particular other clans. I am RH positive AB, and I'm from the original mothers as well. And so I spend a lot of time up here doing international medicine and quantum medicine, but everything from high-tech Tesla to going out to forage with David Wolf type of thing. So I'm all about getting that backwater protection, child protection, and I'm the one through the genius feedback made some of the antivenoms and the antidotes for the contact vaccinosis and the jumping for the shedding. So about doing the reverse engineering. So that's my background.
Hi. Now let's welcome Grace Summer has joined us. Grace, will you please introduce yourself and let us know if there's anything that you want to bring as a topic to today's council while we're here?
Okay, do you mind if I just introduce myself in my way?
Please introduce
Okay.
yourself in your way.
Just a minute, I have a little wolf here that is not cooperating. He wants to say hello too. So this is little Dio, little God. So yeah, I just saw this not long ago and there was an invitation. So I thought, okay, I'll just come on and see what's going on. So for me, I'm not your usual journey, okay? I knew when I came on this planet, I was told I came in on universal lines. I don't know where from where. I know that I had a mission in this lifetime to clear up some heaviness coming down the family line, which I'm pretty sure it's my mother's side. I've tried to go back and go back through that DNA to see when it really started. There's quite a bit of psychic ability on my mother's side and my father's side. So I've just been here trying to find solutions. And for me, it's to bring a clan back into my own family for my 3 daughters. So they know who they are. So they stand grounded and rooted on the earth. And that's what I'm doing. And that's not all I'm doing, but that's one of the major things I came here for. They don't tell you much.
Welcome to council for completing that, making us 3. That's very nice. Is there anything that you're working on in your region that you want to share, that you have question, that you want to let people know about, how we can support you in your life and your work?
Well, mostly I just live in a small town, so I do a lot of Zooms. I have linked up with the Kingogan assemblies, which have really actually, I don't know if you can hear me or am I frozen, have kind of changed. It's more of a sovereign group now. So I've just tried to find local people to connect with because I do see things changing. I do think that, our lifestyle is over. It's done. So just trying to help with that with even my daughters. Yeah, that's basically all I'm doing. It's a pretty slow life right now. And I do have the genius insight I got through Karen. I don't know how many. Yeah, I use it daily. I use it daily. And I do make some of my own libraries up too, which I
Oh,
really
that's great. We'll
appreciate.
have to share some.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like to share my gift and back and forth, so it helps. So that's one of the things, Lisa, is this is a community and stuff too. And I
Yeah.
think what you're saying is so important, Grace, because what I've been doing, aside from my truck breaking down, but the last couple of weeks I've been assisting also. And there's a lot of people out here in these areas like Rage in the Cage and friends of mine as well, that we're staying at. So A&D, I'm having a fun time out at their acreage. But what happens is you start looking at some of these things here, what we've been having to do. I just made what's called seed bombs. If you've never seen a seed bomb, you just literally take, a little bit of clay and a little bit of your dirt, whatever else you need in there, for fertilizer if you need that. But you actually put the seeds in. And so we made these tiny little like bath bombs, when you throw them into the bathtub, they're made with dirt. And so we just did 300 different types of sunflowers. We did the whole garden that way. And
Really?
so, yeah, so these are very, very simple things that children can participate in. And I'm a big one when I was in, especially the Kootenays and in that area, learning biodynamics, learning permaculture, learning seed saving. And this is some of the things I went into the areas is I went to these people and they have all these TV shows and the YouTubers and they didn't have heirloom seeds. So I had to throw out half the garden with their seeds, make sure we kept what was clean. And then I added
I want
mine
to show
into
you
them.
what just came in the mail today. I'm really excited because I got oats and I think barley. I just got a bunch of seeds, grains show up today. Sorry, I just had to show up.
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's
excited.
great. And that's what we should be doing. It's about planting seeds at this time. And so I spend lots of times in different community gardens when I was on the road, and you learn the different things, whether you learning like a little bit of Rudolf Steiner's methods and how to vortex water, or Anastasia, the Ringing Cedars of Russia is by far the best set of books anyone could ever get, because it also talks about not just companion planting, but how these people have lived in clan and tribe forever in Siberia and beat the Khazarian mafia.
Right.
And not only that, but they would teach about putting your DNA in imprinting. So you'd put your saliva
So
even
put
into
your
the
seeds in your mouth. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And right now, like I know avocado, like David Wolf, we were doing different things. And prior to this, I was gonna go out and help them plug mushrooms and go do the shaga and stuff. But that went by the wayside, but that's okay. So what happened in here is because we're all, I'm Dr. Terry Willard's out here, Wild Rose College, Yarrow Willard. Calgary's got a great thing out here. It's called thelightseller.ca. Malcolm and Denis and Alex, they've got a new thing. Actually, I just got Saskatoon berry syrup and stuff. So the guys gave me all this like really cool stuff in Shaga. So these are the people that run the boreal forest, that if people are in this area, go look up for intentional communities, go look up here, because we're going out foraging. They might be going to Kananaskis and they might be going to Banff, but we were actually taking things and making tinctures and teas and concoctions, and you could live off like foraging. You don't even need the seeds, quite frankly. We should be leaving off, as Dr. Robert Moore says, as it's always said, what seed bearing, and that is fruits, fruit trees, berries, and that's really all we need.
And sunshine.
A lot of love up there, a lot of rays, right? Be a breatharian. But in here, that was one of the things we did. We're taking off spruce tips. And I should show you the pictures that we made. We were actually making raw food cheesecakes out there with foraged food. And we took these spruce tips and they were fermented. And oh my gosh, you would think you had Jerusalem artichokes. It was the most incredible thing that, we've ever tasted. And this is what I'm talking about, is people don't have a clue that this is such a gift to bring people back to what it was. Or the other day, like I said, I went out and I found where the spring water was, because if you don't have spring water, you are not going to have life. So
I cannot find that around this area anywhere. No spring water.
You know what else I'm using? I was taken by my local Shoshones a couple of weeks ago to where the springs are, but I'm doing a couple of things, which is using Agnihotra ash, Homa ash, and I'm also using what's the stuff I got from this he was my guest like 6 years ago on a program. It's supposedly, it's fairly inexpensive. Blue Sea water. Have you had
Yeah.
any experience with that, Karen? It's supposedly you can
Yeah,
put it into water and it turns it into structured water,
yeah.
and it's
I'm a
pretty
big one.
inexpensive.
We don't need to go that route. I mean, we have plates. We've got things like the Genius that can do it. I'm big, and when people don't know where findaspring.com and they can't find it, or you find that, it's not viable anymore, usually I'm serious, within an hour of every place, there's usually people, whether it's the reserves, a town, you can go to someone that say like where it was like Natural Springs or Prairie Natural Spring Water. You can call up that company and ask where they're getting the springs from.
Oh, I know where the springs
So-
are here now. I
so-
got taken,
Yeah.
but
So those are really, really, really important. And
I use a zero filter with here, and then I've got the water harmonizer, and then I also just take monoatomic gold that has
Yeah.
all these different minerals in it. So that's the best I could do. There's no springs around here. I've checked. Nothing. I don't know why that is.
go check with the local reserve. So this is one that's close by one of the reserves. A lot of times the reserves, they know where the water is. So unless
This is
you're
true, and they don't
Yes, that
well.
would be Yakima.
Yeah.
That's the
I
closest.
that
got
was-
shown when I got taken out a couple of weeks ago with Carrie Dan's granddaughter and son-in-law. I was shown a place in the mountains where the people hid for 15 years. Because everybody was dying.
Now, in here, that was one of the things too, I just wanted to bring you asked earlier. This is the soaps. These are the monitors that I used, measuring the radiations, where they were, how high it was, what was ringing off. So really, really important to know what you need in that area for safety, because you never know where you're going,
Let's
and,
go back to
what
the
you assume.
precipitating item, which is what is going on with the power out in Ontario and that bioregion. What's going on?
Can I interrupt for a second here? Because
Yes.
it's hitting me because it's not big to me. You mentioned that the Life Givers Nation. I am a part of that. So I want you to know that. And
I'm a little scared.
okay.
I don't know if
I
you were
understand
part of that
PTSD.
meeting with Stuart,
I wasn't.
and it was really traumatic. With
That's unfortunate.
Stuart was like wanting to fight Eagle Eye Man. He was like, "Come on, white man, let's go." I mean, it was terrifying to me as a woman, as an abuse survivor.
I have
And-
PTSD also. It was one of my, I'm not signing up for that one again, but it was one of the things that I did have to go through to understand and make sure it didn't go down the family line any further.
So when I'm called to come to a public meeting because people don't like who I'm associating with, that makes all my bells go off in my head.
Yeah,
And it makes me
don't worry
afraid.
about it. I just wanted to say that so you knew. Okay, I
I
understand.
know,
Yeah,
I know.
I know
And I
PTSD.
apologize, but I can't put myself in that position.
Absolutely, don't worry about that one bit.
One of the things I wanted to just bring up to people too is like some of the things we are detecting, and these are different things here. We're seeing animals burnt, like turning red, losing their hair, not just the people. We are getting different lights coming above and below the grounds or off mountains and stuff. In
What's
here.
causing that?
That is what you're talking about, like in Ontario and stuff. So this is when you get things like direct energy weapons that we have
Oh, yes,
pictures of
okay.
on the background.
Now, is this
that
secret
are
space
creating that.
force,
So
or are these evil off-worlders doing this?
all the above. All the above right now. So right now, and then that's the key thing is if you don't have the old analog, is you must have a smart meter shield on there, because what's happening is that these houses are coming in. So I cannot emphasize enough that you must have smart meter shields. And usually you put a copper wire and you ground it to the ground because they're coming in. And what happens, like I said, I'm talking about stuff like,
I
potassium
do have a
iodine
smart
or
meter
iodide.
that's not ameliorated. Although it may
So
have a
again,
hologram
but there's
on
still
it.
radiation that comes off. It's
But-
still,
Okay.
it may not have the chip in there, but there's still radiation and they still need to be covered. So
we have a digital one, and we have to pay $100 every 6 months to have them come out and check the reading. Otherwise, I send the reading to them every month.
yeah,
So I
these
don't
are still need to be
need-
covered. They still need to be covered. So in here
Can
as
you
well,
put
these are
aluminum
actually-
foil on them? I mean, will that do it?
You can't put aluminum. No, you cannot put aluminum foil.
What?
You
So
have
I
to
need
look
to
this
get a
up
cover.
properly. You need to look at the mesh. Do it yourself, smart meter shields. But anyway,
I have
in
to tell
here,
my husband. Yeah.
these are some of the things that are showing up that people are getting burnt. Okay, and things are being covered up. We've actually had people be electrocuted through their cell phones. That's why I have it off, and I've got a holder for it, like a tripod. And again, these chemtrails that are coming up, we've had earthquakes and shakes all over the place that are not recorded. And we have different chemicals that have come down, and people start burning, losing their hair. I'm getting calls from all over, and there's weird things like interdimensional things that we're not quite sure what kind of dragon or what kind of things these are, but whatever. Some of the wildlife will drop, some don't. But do remember in Fukushima and in Chernobyl that 50% lived. And not only that, the wolves actually over multiplied because they knew that their DNA was going to be at risk. So having just not seen dead birds or bumblebees or whatever, what you're seeing a lot is the people with the skin aging, premature aging, receding hairline, turning red. And again, if it happens, it's just like you took that hit. So you're only maybe going to feel that for a couple of days, and then you're trying to settle down. But there's been so many people, that's why it's so important that we take a look at people, or they get their own, take a look at the auric field, see if it's been burnt, or did someone get to it, or have you been direct energy microwaved? And then the other thing I've been telling people is to go and get live blood cell done. I mean, I can do it through scanner, but is go get that done, because with one drop of blood, you can see the spiking now. We can actually see a couple that the blood actually mutated right over, and the actual blood itself was going rectangular. So this is the kind of thing that's even worse than just the clot shot and things that you're seeing, is it's mutating the blood, and we cannot restore that. You can't, once the blood's been mutated. So even regen beds and stuff like that are not always feasible in these cases for repair. But like I said, that is when you got to get your radiation counters. And you need them in every city. You need that gamma and beta radiation, and you need a tri-field meter, the two different types to measure the different kinds of radiation coming in. And like I said, it's all over the place. Just absolutely every city's being covered right now. It changes day by day. And just the air control alone, like I said, we need people, standing up and doing the right thing for the right reason right now. Because what you're seeing is not just where these bases are, but you're seeing the new 5 and 6G meters. And there's a place up here by Calgary, and it's called National Citizens Alliance. And Stephen Garvey and his crew has been able to show everyone's starting to burn. You can't get near a Costco. You can't get near a Walmart. They start burning. We've got people and don't assume you're safe in the rural area, because you're not. I've been by many different acreages now, and we've had towers that are so bad, they're going over a sight line over 3 provinces. And right now that's the sickest area. So it's where some of these acreages that people thought they were safe in, or setting up communities, are actually more targeted, just like a reserve is.
So it probably
And
is a good idea to be doing Agnihotra at dawn and dusk, because they say that, and Vandana Shiva was testing it, that it eliminates radiation for a 40-acre radius.
Well,
what is
it's
that?
assisting. Yeah. It's assisting. And like, this is some of the stuff you're not seeing. This is the stuff that I disclosed at newsinsideout.com with Judge Alfred Weber. This is the actual, showing you the evidence that we presented to the court judge. And so you can see how blackened everything was here. You can see the trees were blackened. And again, this is the stuff not being reported, right? And then they didn't know what to do. So then they blew up stuff and flooded. And you can see definitely where, the thermal imaging. It's like, I could do the thermal right now and air quality now over Ontario and Quebec and show you what's going on. But you can't hide this kind of stuff eventually. I mean, it blackened the mountain, these explosions of direct energy weapons and plasma stuff. And yes, it was, Patty Broussard assisted us getting some of the information from the States, from the gamma counters and stuff, because they just don't allow stuff like this up in Canada. We know it's not just surface, DUMS or deep underground military bases. and what's going on. And a lot of times they're removed, but it's very hard to maintain, an aura like this all the time, when you're constantly being bombarded. I mean, all I have to do is go in, and that's why I'm suggesting people get those air tamers and get those wearable necklaces, because that's what saved me. I mean, like I said, I went to the dentist. I passed out. I went comatose for 7 hours because they were contaminating, and they are the ones that can have the potential to kill us if you don't know what you're doing. So
I got one. I got one because of you. Actually.
And you can feel people. You can feel people when they're hot, radioactive and magnetized, and spoons and stuff are sticking to them. Okay, and there's the spike protect. I mean, that's what just saved a few people here. I gave that to them the first couple days here. Otherwise, they would have been clotted, and I would have been dealing with a myocarditis or a stroke. So thank gosh I carry some of these with me at all the time, because you never know who you have to share it with your friends.
What's in that?
This is a spike protect. It's made by realrawfoods.com out of Naramata, and it's basically, we got nattokinase in here, we got serapeptizes in here, ginkgos in here, your shikimati stuff, the quercetin, schizandra berry. But like I say, there's stuff too, like seriously, Chinese 5 spices. Most people don't realize, so this is the kind of stuff, like I said, this is like my nursing, and like, I'm doing my PhD in quantum physical medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what you just got to carry right now. And, like I said, having these things, like I said, from Nevessence that we have up here for therapists, making these tinctures are so important, and having them so they're bioavailable. And that's one of the things too, is that some of these sprays are tinctures because there's so much biofilm, and right now hot nanoparticles that you are swallowing, you're not going to absorb anything in the gut. So again, the food becomes, I've gone into getting people get those juicers going. Get that bulk away, get the juicing going, get into black lemonade, get that activated charcoal or zeolite or bentonite or, different things going. And with all my clients, they're all on making oral aromatherapy pills, essential oil pills. So, these are just some of the things. And like I said, having your enemas, having your steam chairs.
Okay, let's go back to another question off of it. Let's go back to this whole issue of the truck. You have all these average Canadians who want out.
Okay. Yeah.
And so what are we going to do, Clan Mother, to bring, obviously I've been saying the White Buffalo Nation for the people of the 4 directions, white, black, yellow, red, if you're here for the Mending of the Sacred Hoop, the Rainbow White Buffalo Nation for the people who are really just coming in off the street and aren't healed, who need to go through their protocols. But what do we do, to bring people in? Because they, someone said I was watching something today, and somebody made a point and said, well, there's only one country in the United States. I said, no, there's not. There's 2. There's the red country, and then there's everybody else who's here. And the legitimate country is actually the original. So, how do we help people get to the original?
I think a large part of it is people have to learn who they are. One, getting their blood type, like an Eldon card, ELDON, like find out who you are, go back 3-4 generations, try and trace some genetic roots. It's not that difficult to find so-and-so begat so-and-so. I'm not saying about giving DNA, but if you can't do your coat of arms, like my Lusic on my, Baba's side, right? Those are unbroken line of clan mothers. You can see it clearly in the coat of arms. Okay, so, and these are not the fake ones the queens did or you paid for, it's not a Hello Ratchet friendly thing, but, learning those sort of things, who you are. The other thing too, is when people are coming in, as I said, I don't take on anyone PCR tested or vaccinated anymore. Okay, this never was going to happen. Those people that are coming because they're looking and they're reaching out to us. So kind of like law of attraction. At this point, we have got to be set up ourselves and showing that and walking our talk, whether it's, we talked about the gardening, the sustainability and showing how to do that. It was something I remember when they took me to the Stargate, and Rob Nicholson and stuff, and protecting the sacred sites, right? And those areas, is that you have to be of higher grounds. You have to be able to walk the talk. And whether you talk about it,
Exactly.
walking the red road, or call it whatever you want, you know, everyone assumes we're the ones sitting here with all the, you know, gold. Well, the gold belongs to us. The trust funds were disbanded in 2013, right? You see us walking
We
around now
are
because
the
we got bigger
gold.
spaceships.
We are ourselves the
you
real
know,
gold.
frankincense, myrrh, and gold is like a whole different thing on neurotherapy, but that's another thing. We are all those elements within. And when you get to the point where you don't need anything and being a breatharian, a solarian, call it whatever you want in your transition, you know, that's what the goal and the hope is for a lot of people too. But in there, there's a thing for eating, like I said, fruitarianism, seed bearing stuff, those apple trees, getting those apple trees, those goji berries, everything like that. It's also whether we're staying, leaving, going up on the exoplanets, whatever is planned, you know, and I don't think they've got it all figured out. There's probably a handful of people, and gosh knows it seems to be switching every day. But remember, even the stuff with the quantum financial system and the rainbow currency and the QFS system and the Nicera Jacera, again, you don't get anything for not having, like for doing nothing. This is things you got to sell, like your soul, notice and non-disclosures. And I do know what some of them say. Okay. It's not without risk. And so are these people going to be put into a place for humanitarian? Well, where's the councils? And again, the Andromeda Council and the Intergalactic Councils, by the way, that have treaties, again, on the Andromeda Council and those galactic councils, they were put into place. And one of the things they had to have had was joint Earth representation. And so that was approached to me. And right now, as I said, even from as of last week, again, they've told me we're the last actual bona fide clan mother with the lineage that they had to check out that is intact, that was here from the original women that did those star discs and those treaties in 3130 BC. So it doesn't really matter what's happened or come in from there, is that those are the actual treaties that run. Like I said, Wampa Belts was just one, but Noah's Ark, but you had all those different seed races, and were made up of seed races, including the red tribes, you know, and the root races, or you look like Patty Broussard's blood type, right? O positive, RZ, you know, and I've asked people like Stuart, I've asked people like Tim, I've asked a bunch of people, and a lot of these people don't know their blood types. So I have been on reserves, as I've said, and there isn't a pure blood there, even though they're getting paid in bands and reserves for the Indian status cards.
Right.
Okay, so we have to remember, you know, we have to question everything. And, you know, the Dene come on over the Bering Strait. I've been in Alberta taking it down, right? We're seeing a lot of these things that are going to come in. We're going to start doing. I've been approached by ex-RCMP, military, all those forces, the sheriffs, the provost marshals, right, setting up the new systems. And I was there because I was in the inauguration and helped assist and draft some of those constitutional and some of those different oaths, by the way. That was part of what I had to do. It got rammed through me as an ex officio, but I'm technically also a judge over those courts, the tribunal courts of conscience, which are responsible now for international law, treaty law, divine law, and common law. So when you get to the thing, common law is not the exact international law.
No.
Okay, so the Christopher James and what Tim was suggesting, all that, it's not the same. And a lot of that stuff, even from Meredith Quinn, has been tainted, or again, a lot of stuff has been
and I hate to
left
say it, you know, and the men don't understand that there's almost inherently a problem when the men, even the ones who say that they support matrilineality, that when they're in council with us, they're still competing and trying to one up us.
Again, I think it's individual, as you call, personalities and clashing. But again, that is also what I suggested to do, is the rules have to be clear of whether I'm running. I used to run union meetings or Robert's rules of whatever order. I don't care how we do it, or, you know, whether you call it the talking stick, the feather, call it whatever we want, or I used to have a circle, but nonetheless, those rules have to be, put up front and in the first couple minutes, and literally people get removed. It's the same thing. I have left shows where
Absolutely.
I've spoken to 1 million or 13 million people. You insult me, or I had someone, to do with some of the stuff with stuff that's going up in, especially Eastern area. This guy Brimmel is one of the guys that's been jailed because of exposing the evergreen and the pedophilia in Ontario. And he is really getting taken to task. I mean, if anything, these are the people that are connected to the Field MacDonalds and, all of the different vets for child rescue and these type of things. But he's still been incarcerated for a couple of months, and when I get people like that phone me up and start yelling and screaming and swearing, don't think it's going to happen again. You don't get a second chance with me. That never
No.
happens. And people have got to learn to be respectful, in there. Because we don't have to tolerate. I don't care what you have to say after that. I really don't. And that's where I think, people, it just needs to be contained, and we need to have, whether, I don't care if it's me, you, whoever, even if it's only that 10 minutes to get across, get everything we need done within, the half an hour, 45 minutes, and then
Yes.
allow for redress or questions. Because the other thing too is our time is important. And right now, just with what I have to do and in preparations, and you do, and Grace has to do, we have to be respectful of the time, because we're also helping those within our communities. And this is what we're trying to develop. And who knows, like with the corneal mass ejection and with what's coming in the scorched earth policy, we may be sitting in a whole different ball game here within, like, before
I think
August
we
to
will be.
September. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Your lifestyle, the people who have their certain material lifestyles, it's over. Even these elites, I just really, it's over for them.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
I'm
we're
gonna
seeing that
ask,
things get into place. Like,
It's just over.
hopefully, thank gosh. Like,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, thank
We're
gosh.
going
Yes.
camping.
Yeah.
We're going camping. And if people cannot accept that gift, that alone, to take all of our children off these gaming and their MK Ultra and voice to skull stuff and their lack of respect and lack of connection, that alone, they could take the whole grid down all summer. In the Clan Mother books, they actually talked about stuff like that there was actually a disconnection, and that they took them off the grid anywhere from a period of 3 months up to a year. At this point, I'd say we need a couple, but those alone, just on the children and what we've seen, the damage inflicted to their brains, and the idea of transgendering, the amount of self-hate that a child would have to mutilate themselves, and these are the kind of stuff that I'm not upset that these hospitals and these mutilation centers are being shut down, and then, like I said, even when I went out here, I'm not that far, 5 minutes away, I found 2 evergreen containers, and there I am getting the who's got what, who's what, making sure that whatever, we need to be very aware of that. And as women, being out there diligent and being re-empowered, and part of that re-empowers, I better be stirring the rest of those colors up in your chakra. It's very easy to see someone that's been soul harvested by these vaccines, and worse is they're soul harvesting the people that are pure blood. So if we don't get their acts together and get cleaned up, they will, whether wittingly or unwittingly, they're going to be taken down as well. And you have no idea how many people I've got now that they're calling me that they can't get out of bed. It's basically like they got wasting disease. There's no energy to even get out of the bed, and this is the kind of devastation. So my big thing is the caveats is, especially now we're seeing all the radiation dental, we're the holistic biological dentists. I couldn't find one out here because I found one, I shouldn't say that. I found one dentist that has not been vaccinated and PCR tested.
Jeez.
Right. But because you're taking it on faith that you're going to somewhere and that they're cleaning or not, or I've now got, looking for clean whole colon hydrotherapists. I mean, I can't do everything, but I'm trying to find, even if I wanted to replace people like me, I need a massage therapist. I need a reflexologist. I need an iridologist. I need someone to do dark field thing. I need a colon hydrotherapist, peristeam. I need like probably a dozen therapists just to replace what I do, to run a center again with people that are clean.
Yeah.
And it's not that easy. So like I said, I was just approached by Dr. Ara Policano. So they've approached me to do a very private session for teaching some of this stuff. What can we use? How can you protect yourself off this stuff? Patty Broussard showed very clearly, as we did in 2016, about what the DNA, the reptilian DNA, and the venomization and how it's occurring through the Human Genome Project, through the Project Panther. We documented that. It's very clear. So if people want to see how it was working, Patty presented that in 2016 under Project Ascension, Genetics, Who Are We, or Triple Spiral, or what's the last going, what's the Council of 12? Who really is the Council of 12? We talked about that, and the Galactic Treaties. She talked about those Galactic Treaties into place. So I think
we'll have
that's
to
really,
put the
really
links
important.
up to,
So,
listeners, we'll be adding links to specific programs that Karen's referencing.
yeah, like I said, I can show you some of them back here, but I mean, really, it's all there. And at this point, people need to get a grip on what's going on. I just send them there. I mean, if you can't figure it out there, I mean, we got live footage of actually the secret space program coming in, the Galactics and the Earth military jointly taking out operations with bases. It's actually live footage there. So I mean, if people want to see that stuff, or they want to see the corneal mass injections, or they want to see what's going on there, it's probably 54 videos. There's probably a couple hundred hours worth of stuff that they can knock themselves out on. But all the stuff to do with the Queen, all the stuff to do with removing them and the deep state, by law, by the international law that we had to fulfill to the letter of the law and the foundational law, we fulfilled that in 2013. And so my part in that is actually done, fini. And like I said, the rest is up to them to fulfill their obligations to remedy what was happened. And basically, whether it's removing every dam that's powering a nuclear facility, I don't care what it is, they have a responsibility to put things back as well.
Hi.
We'll see what happens, and that's the best that, was asked of me. And that was the only thing we could have done. And like I said, I showed you those pictures with those copper treaties right in there. And if you weren't part of that original one, what we discuss is not for the public. It is national security. What was discussed in those meetings to get rid of them will not go out to the public, and never will.
Right.
And that's what national security is. And people need to respect that. Right.
Yes.
That's why we don't put pictures of children that have been rescued either, or women that have been raped out, because it's national security. It's none of your business, and until we get those things back into place.
There's such a thing as private.
Yeah, definitely.
Not anymore. I've got rid of the private sector. What we have is sacredness, and there's a matter of keeping
sacredness is the
sacredness and their dignity.
Yeah.
And as whether nurse, doctor, whatever I'm doing, that is just common sense. I wouldn't have, even when I was working emergency or whatever, if I had a child come in that was being abused, it's not for, everyone to display on, because you get people that get a kick out of that from the loose harvesting. And right now, even containing that amount, because so many people are traumatized just by watching things beyond, the stupid herd and death. I'm just waiting for them to come out and both get arrested for adrenochrome, frankly, would be the best thing. But, that or they're clones, whatever. But, this drama after 23, 24 days, I lost count. But, in here, we need to move on. We need to be planting gardens and turn the boob tube thing off. Those of us, like I said, there's just because I'm using it for seeing clients, because right now it's easy. I can make a house call. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to fly anywhere. You don't have to pay $3,000 to book into a center now. We have that technology available, like Grace was saying. Very simple to use. Lisa, I'm sure you'll be very excellent at it. And you do not have to have any medical background. My gosh, I've got like 4 or 5-year-olds that can run it better than I can, I might add, better than I can, but having to navigate that's just experience. And I don't just do biofeedback, obviously. I do a whole array of consults because of my background and experience. And that's what you get with therapists as well. So that would be my suggestion. And, I want to thank you for this opportunity. And if you want to bring, a few more people in or whatever, I'm on the road though myself. And just because of the circumstances, I'm moving all over the place right now. And part of it is like I was showing you, that equipment's here to test safety areas right now.
Yeah.
You know, and until we get something that we can establish that's not so radioactive and so hot, you know, for people to move into, that I'm comfortable to suggest for people to go into, you know.
And what is causing all this radiation? I mean, I'm not clear on that. I'm not, you know, what is doing this?
Well, there's a multi-factor, right? I showed a little bit of the deep underground military bases before.
Okay.
So some is
Okay.
leakages from those dams. Virtually every city, every area, every nation, everything has been leaking.
Yeah.
And you've got probably 40, 50 cities massively that are way over limits. So really, there's no place to run and hide. So that's why I
No.
suggested people start getting that. We know that the 5 and 6G has gone live. Don't care what anyone says, we can fill it. The ability to measure that is, you know, even with the tri-field or tricorder, some of those we are getting. Mine have been alarming on and off. And again, they might pulse it for 5 minutes out of the, you know, day, or, you know, for an hour at night. You don't know when it's coming. We're lucky if we can pick some of them up. But National Citizens Alliance has really clearly shown that very well up here, you know, from Vancouver to Calgary to Red Deer to whatever. And again, the smart meter being out in the acreage, as I said here, this is no indication of being safe. There's 3-4 towers around here, and we're getting nuked as bad as they are in the city.
They don't
You know.
have towers out where I am yet, but the problem is they have the smart meters. My husband was we didn't even know they were putting the smart meters in at the time when they were. He had to sleep outside with his hands on copper pipes because he couldn't stand it. We're both EMF sensitive.
Yeah.
And we had no idea that they were putting them in. So, you know, they're good for like 5 or 6 mile range. So we have the house protected with earth calm. We do have that. And I wear this all the time. When I have never lived in a place where I have felt so much irritability. And I had a retired military person here, by the way, tell me that they're doing funny, mysterious things at this base over here, 25 minutes away.
Which is where?
About 25 minutes away.
Which base?
Yeah, they do, you know, war games and that kind of thing. And they are working with extraterrestrials. I know that because I've spent the night in Yakima County. And you see the lights, they're orange. The one was orange. You know they are. I know they are. So yeah, you can't get away. Whether we have those towers or not, we are getting hit.
One of the things I suggest too, and I got it off Amazon.ca, and you can actually just Google 5G hats. 5G.
Oh yes, you might have to do that.
Okay, no, and I've been using that. They look very stylish. I don't look like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat, but it's actually a really nice silver. Like, you know, if you have to be wearing silver these days and gold, you might as well be in there. But one of the things that's been very, very helpful in there, because it's really affecting the higher chakras, the pineal, pituitary gland. It's scrambling stuff. We're seeing a lot of people with memory loss. You know, that's why I was even doing the alphabet. I have a lot of people that scrambled. And I've never seen so many people as I have. And my therapists and friends that I know, all of a sudden were walking and just collapsed. They've just passed out. And so,
well, that's what they say the radiation does. I mean, Dr. Rima and Rob, we've been talking about it for, you know, for years, and that they made the doctors before they, you know, Dennis Watts, before he got taken out, you know, he was relating that they were making doctors in the hospitals on the West Coast sign oaths not to tell people about what was actually causing the heart attacks and all of this, that it was the radiation.
This has been going on so long nefariously, it's not even funny. One of the other things too, now that I showed you the other 2 meters, another one that doesn't hurt is actually having a pH one for the water. So this measures actually ORP. It measures your temperatures and stuff too. And like I said, I started using some of those hats and with some of the friends, and especially when they've been very ill or contact vaccinosis right off the bat, that can be a real lifesaver. So they run anywhere from $50 and up. And I know Amazon.ca had them, Amazon.com. And actually there it is. And it doesn't look quite as bad as whatever, but the inside in here, you can get different meshes. And so it actually is quite nice. It's quite comfortable. It's very soft and pliable. It feels in there. So even like that, you know, you can cap it off if you need to or whatever. But those are different things that have been helpful for my clients and myself. And again, you know, knowing some of those things. Like I said, we are doing stuff like with Judge Alfred Weber at the Tribunal for Exopolitics and Peace at PaceInSpace.org. So these are slowly coming in. And like I said, just getting people to, you know, even get the water that's clean, you know, getting them on these different things. Like I said, getting your live blood cell done.
Yeah.
And like I said, something as simple now as I'm just getting everyone to put essential oils on their feet and then some castor oil and put your aromatherapy on and then a hot wet towel. You're driving it up into the system, right? That everyone is so acidic and so toxic. And so, like I said, those steams have been amazing. And then putting in those vaginal pearls or making
Okay.
basically, you know, aromatherapy suppositories. And I don't care what kind you have, you've got to have enema bags or you're going to do a Kalima board.
Yeah.
Because the other thing too is even though we got all the equipment here, unless you've got, and I've got an EcoVisor EcoLife generator, like for my camper and stuff. And I really think people need to be ready to go. So whether you're going from high tech steaming or to the sit spool method, like whatever, you got to have those arsenals ready and stuff. Like I said, the water purification, because right now, if I hadn't had those people would have clotted. And that would have been game over.
I have a question for you. I got these necklaces, they have magnets in them.
Yeah.
I've taken them off
Yeah.
because I don't feel I should be wearing them right now. And the reason I say this is I had a garnet necklace. I went to see my daughter in San Diego and I had to go through all the crap you have to go through in the airport. Well,
Right.
garnets have a magnetic quality to them.
Yes,
I got a lump right there on my chest the very next day. And of course I did not go to the doctor. Are you freaking kidding? Not really, no freaking way. What I did for 3 months, it took 3 months to get rid of it. I took ECAC tea and I did bitter apricot seeds and it's gone. Now, my question is, Karen, what do you think of people wearing any kind of magnets? I have another bracelet that's copper, and it has 2 little magnets. And I'm concerned that if with all these frequencies flying around, what do you think it could attract some bad things? I don't know, but I do know that it was right where that necklace hit. And I will never wear garnet or anything that has any kind of attraction to electronics again.
Were you a January baby with the garnet? But anyway, a lot of those different things you're seeing, even with shungite, a lot of people were wearing it, or they were starting to notice that.
I did wear it. I did get a necklace. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff is actually attracting stuff, where there's radon in a lot of stuff as well. So I don't wear anything myself now unless I do, you know, it's like one of those protective ones. I'm very sensitive to stuff as well. So you're seeing like cotton, you're seeing hemp, you're seeing bamboo, all the, you know, absolutely no synthetics, no polyesters, because that's just going to burn right through as well. And I mean, people are starting to notice, I'm sure with the contacts and stuff like that. The other thing too is people that have had piercings, you know, if you go into here, that's your mother's side, that's also the heart. So a lot of people are getting fillings, they haven't been removed yet. You're using also, people have got tats with the nano paint in them. Now you're going to start seeing blockages and stuff. I mean, I knew there was stuff like Nucerity and stuff that had nanotech in it. And these women were putting all these, like, you know, facial masks on and going to bed at night. And I said, why don't you just put a smooth spoon in the microwave and just hit yourself, you know, just take yourself out, you know, it's just easier. It's just easier than us having to deal with all this stuff and wasting my time. But in here, a lot of those are attractors. And there's a Marcus Rothkrantz is amazing. He's got a YouTube site called The Healthy Life with Kara Brotman. They were some of the top raw food things. He's also, what most people don't know, a consultant to the military, especially to do with Marcus Rothkrantz and just put radiation or enemas, whatever. But we know that the food or the intake or the livet, as opposed to a diet, has a lot to do with it. where they're staying because they're near Las Vegas and all the testing and the bombs and everything that were done. Why are some people still thriving? Because one, it's what our lifestyle is, and it makes a huge difference. I was just giving a massage the other day, and one of the things I was using is a cactus agave glove. I can't do it with sea glove. Won't do with the other ones. This is the only one called a Sayala, Sayala. About $11, and that's the only thing that I could get was taking off a lot of the biofilm properly. And it's a total difference, like when you're doing the skin and stuff, for pulling it off. So it's not just about debriding. Right now, I was using that with boron and stuff like that, but to take the biotech off from the chemtrails and stuff. And so they're tiny little things we've just learned over years. There's one thing that functions, but this one is the next level. I mean, I've also got like Tesla zappers that you can get for the face that, $40-50 you can get. I've got ozone that you can get, tiny little ozone machines now for $60 on Amazon. You're getting the hydrogen water things for $60. So a lot of the stuff is getting available, to the people on there. But when you're using a lot of these metals and stuff, like as an attractant, and, I'll just touch base with it too. I mean, there's a lot of controversy right now, even with the carbon C60 and liquid zeolite, because of the particles and the way the 6G is starting to, 5 and 6G are interfacing with us. And so, I know a lot of people are getting stuff in there because they're driving a lot of, whatever, multi-level things, or you've seen these things come out, roots, TRC. I mean, all these different, everyone's got a different thing out right now, but you start looking at some of these very expensive, like $80-90, or we're going to use this nano something spray and like liposome of this. If you look at it, one I looked at was pine pole and the other one's grapeseed extract. Well, I can go down to any health store. So before people sign up to these multi-level companies, go look at the ingredients. Like I said, I started going about, they wanted shikimati this and shikimati that, and who's making money on all this. And then I went, well, hey, Chinese 5 spices is $5 in a health store. Get an organic.
Right.
Chinese.
I like Dr. Jennifer Daniels, the way
Yep.
she related the turpentine protocol.
Turpentine. Yeah. With Georgia.
Pure
Yeah.
turpentine and some sugar.
You mentioned 5 spices. I've been wanting to get some of that. So it has healing properties to it.
Yeah, actually what I did, I was showing Lisa earlier in here, is that
simply because I'm getting tired of my bland nutritional regime,
But what it is that when you actually look at what's in there, star anise is the number 1 ingredient.
Right. Yeah.
And then you've got fennel and cinnamon, black pepper, and clove. So, I mean, those are some of your top things if you had to go for something, whether you put it into a smoothie or you put it into capsules or whatever. But what I was showing is that what was the actual remedies, like anti-venoms or antidotes, or with some of the spike protein, or for vaccine recovery and shedding. And these were some of the things that, really came into what I was looking for. But that was something that I built into the genius. But again, I was looking for remedies, like, if you had a snake from this area, well, what's the remedy? It's like you could have poison ivy and your remedy is going to be within 50 to 100 feet. It's no different. Like we're talking about, what do we have? What are we using? How are we going to protect ourselves? And whatever you really need is actually usually within a mile or 2 of you anyway. So the even idea of bringing these things all over the border, getting radiated, I think the best idea is local foraging. And that's why a lot of these things too, if you look at, when people talk about microdosing and looking at some of the psychedelics and a lot of those things that say like the original peoples, like the Snayaks and stuff, when you're with them, they don't want these in these areas. They don't want those psychedelics, or they don't want those kind of supposedly ceremonial medicines, which really, are not for everyone. And a lot of them have ET or alien backgrounds to how they even got on the planet. So that's another thing that people can go into. A lot of people are allergic. Cannabis, they could be allergic to, or like I said, things like the carbons, C60, like what is a carbon doing with the testosterophoresis? And when you see what Pamela Richardson has done now, if you want to see what we did on the contact vaccinosis, is go to Vaccine Choice Canada on Rumble and look at what Pamela Richardson just did on, which is based a lot of my works, by the way, my teachings. So, I don't mind that some of them call me the anonymous alternative health therapist, right? Because they didn't want my head on the same list with Brian Artis, apparently, and the other 12. But, it really doesn't matter to me, But in here, that was based a lot on our works, because they went back and can explain all the different layers of graphene and how it worked. And more importantly, I mean, one of the saddest things that she was showing is the children in China. This is not going to happen. This is happening. They've already been chipped. They've already been vaccinated. They're wearing these Neuralink headbands already, and their little brains beam into the
Oh my
computer
God.
at the front desk of the teacher. And right now, through behavior modification, if they don't like what you're doing,
That's why there's change coming.
yes, and this is why, we've got to get off the grid and get into stuff here, because people, like I said, they do not have a clue. And this stuff is actually operational already. She was actually, here's the picture of it too. This is from Pamela Richardson's, what they're doing to the
Paula
children.
Richardson on Rumble.
Vaccine Choice Canada. There's the children already chipped with their neural uplinks, and it's already beaming into the front of the classroom.
That's disgusting.
Okay, so, and this is nothing compared to what we have seen with what we were doing. So these are the first runners that we were just getting out to the people. There's Pamela Richardson there, and myself and some of the other people. And like I said, she did the first presentation, but go to Rumble and go to Vaccine Choice Canada. And so these are basically all the what's going on in here now. So there's an entire section, and it's being taught now by the Michael Gatta Institute of Medicine, has now actually started teaching all this stuff about what's happening and how the vaccines are now transmittable. So we actually have a medical school, and this is the management for it. So we already have it there and how it's being transmitted. And they've got two different kites that they're dispersing. So whether you're doing the PCR test or the arrays or the patches or the injections, they have it all ready to go. These are already in work, and they've designed it so it's now called a self-spreading vaccine. And that is the transmission through the different arrays and how they're doing it to people. So you just have to be near someone, they shut off, and it actually starts showing how it's being conformed and how the transmission lines can go. Proven. This is their documentation. We're just showing you what they're showing us. So
well, I actually put it's a library, or in one of my libraries, for the spike protein.
Yeah.
In a couple places, and sometimes it does come up in the red. I've noticed on Facebook, I also joined the community area because we have so many fires. There's all these deaths all of a sudden again, so I know everyone's getting their boosters.
Yeah, there you go. And that's the testalophoresis. So until people actually know how they can actually take that graphene, inject it into you, or you breathe it in, or through inhalation or contact, and then they touch you and bang, you're knocked out.
Oh, gosh.
So the thing is, how they want to do that, that's the nanotubes reassembling, and that can be the reassembling also in someone that's healthy. Okay, so this is why we need to get back through this. And like I said, the whole thing is to remotely control everyone.
Yeah.
And so we already have it. So this is very well worth taking a look at it, where these biosensors are. They were trying to get them into the carbon-based thing. And like I said, there's the graphene oxide and the graphene oxide with Q, or God, as they call it. But anyway, but it's a whole new word on the word, what you're looking at. But the biosensors, how they're developing it into every aspect of everyone's lives. And specifically, like I said, this is why people are plaquing and they're getting the clot shots, in there. So like I said, it doesn't matter what they call it. The basis to all of it is exactly what they're doing. And someone else is controlling you now. And we've seen them where you can actually go over the grave sites now, and they're still transmitting because of the code. So it's been able to be picked up through the Bluetooth technology. And again, in Russia, what they've been able to do is go in. But there is also, like I said, there's all the health hazards they're not talking about. And so this is really what we need to go into, because you don't know where it's going to be. We don't know if it's going to be systemic, and it's going to be the work, like every organ system is going to be affected. Just what blows out first is in the order of priority and the order of weakness. So that's why symptoms are such a variety in here. So like I said, this was designed, specifically ahead of time. And these are some of the things here. Like I said, that's what we're seeing in the live blood cell, So I think that's really important that people, if they have the chance to go get a live blood cell done with 1 drop of blood, take a look at what's going on, because it's jumping. So, we might think we're healthy, but like I said, we're all being affected now. And so we need to go into a place where we can, get healthy in there and get away from all this lack of natural stuff, because you don't know. It's hitting a lot of people in the dentist, like I said, periodontal, dental. We've had a lot of people all of a sudden, their implants, like literally, implants have just fallen out.
My husband's did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are some of the things, I think that be well worth taking a look at. And like I said, people haven't even seen some of the stuff too. These are some of the newer ones that we're seeing around the Calgary area. And you're getting different arrays all over the place now.
That's huge.
It's massive when you take a look at them right by a lot of the Costco's and stuff like that. So we've got people that cannot actually go near any of these cities anymore because they're just burning too high. And I have been in an actual car where we were actually going through one of the bases by Suffield, by Medicine Hat, in my girlfriend's 2010 or 11, whatever it was, Lincoln Continental, and they took over the car. So I've been in a car where they've taken over complete command of it, and we were going at 115 kilometers down to 30. They put the brakes on and they controlled everything from a distance. So we got the car back after 20 minutes. So I've been in situations like that, so I can appreciate different things. I've had people try to phone me and literally be electrocuted. They were used to their cell phone as a weapon of mass destruction to make sure that they didn't get through. But having said that, there's a lot of stuff that, we are able to start getting and cleaning and making some shifts, making some differences. And that's actually what it's all about. So if we can make the difference in, one's lives, like I said, there's another thing too, like getting into colon hydrotherapy or go make your own. It's not rocket science to put a 3 or 5 gallon water bucket over, a toilet or whatever, or a bathtub. I think people just got to start getting their stuff cleaned out, because you're just seeing so much hair loss. You're seeing every symptom, and people are trying to cover this up. And that's the whole basis to what's going on now, but I've seen a lot of people do wonderful recoveries. So, and it's fun to see that. It's great to be part of those people with those processes, in there. We've met some incredible people and stuff too, like some of the different people I've met that were in charge of the Canadian naturopathic schools and stuff, and come contacted me. So I'm really excited about seeing the transition. Like all these different people have been contacting me, in one way, shape, or another, because of going out there and presenting the kind of information that we have. And, like I said, if you have to get into one of the local places where you got to go learn to forge, like I said, this is a great place, Denis and Malcolm at the Light Cellar, how to forge, how to go out with your friends and other, doctors that we have in the area, and making those spruce things, making those, just not just canning and ferments. But these guys are some of the experts here. You just got to go out and learn these basic skills that you should have known to start with.
And it's fun. That's, from 1993 till 2001, I was blessed to live outdoors.
Yeah.
And, and that's the experience.
Yeah. It's not all not about like chocolate and
then,
chaga, which
everything starts to reconnect and everything talks to you. But I also just wanted to remind everyone that even though we feel outnumbered in this solar system, which 99.99999% in the expanding multiverse is loyal. So they look like we're outnumbered here, but they're actually outnumbered.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of these guys are still on horses up here. Like that's Calgary downtown, but anyway. That's okay.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, well, you gotta have a laugh every once in a while, but you know, when I was going by the other day. So yeah, that's kind of funny. But no, anyway, so I don't know if there's anything else, but I should get going.
No, I'm going to ask you though, for my protocol, you did the opening. I'm going to ask you to do the closing unless, Grace, is there anything that, you need to say before we close?
No, I've really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm very glad you're here.
Yeah, me too.
No, yeah, so what would you like me to do? Just
I'd like you to do a closing.
closing prayer? Okay,
Yes, please.
we'll open it, we'll close. Okay, so you can go get your favorite little smudge thing again, or a little spray or whatever.
All right.
I think it's so important. Remember, not everyone burns stuff. A lot of us spray, some of us use
I don't burn.
aromatherapy, and we do a lot of the water smudging too with the steam smudge. So whatever, probably
is-
oregano is not the best choice. So I better put my other stuff on.
This is local. This is
Yeah.
from
So
here.
I think it's so important to get that cleansing, get into the spiritual part of it. And, you know, I just want to thank everyone for listening. We thank everyone that's participated in this evening and will participate, you know, in the future viewings of this. I thank you for the Creator for this opportunity for us to come together as sisters and as brothers and star nations and friends and friends to be in here. So we want to thank people for that and for the restoration of not only ourselves, but for the planet and wherever that might look and however that may take us, like on our journey and camping and finding that sacred spot. That's part of when, you know, as we're hearing those noises or the headaches, because we're not in the right spot. We're not in that alignment. We're not in our spot connected with the Creator. And so I think at this time, it's a beautiful thing to reconnect with back those seeds. We are the seeds. We are the galactic seeds here. And if we can leave a few of our little heirloom seeds with our tenderness, our love, our hands, and creating that space wherever we are, you know, seed bomb the planet, you know, and I think we've got to be laughing. That's one of the things I was teaching when I was teaching raw foods and stuff to my favorite people. I was staying within Calgary with JNA. And what happened is I said, every time you make food and you're massaging salads or whatever, you have to laugh because you're raising your vibrational frequency and people can feel the love in the food. And remember, your hands are connected to the heart. And for every minute that we're not in love with ourselves or, you know, our higher selves or the Creator, whatever we want to say, you're in that fear and that transmits. So laugh when you make your food, laugh when you make your juice, laugh when you do make your tea, and hear that. Bring it in. And anyway, I thank you for that. And Megwich, Sasibo, Mir.
Merci. I want to thank everyone for joining us and for everyone who's been trying to reach me during this program. I look forward to connecting this. But thank you, Grandmother Karen. Thank you, Grandmother Grace. This has been really a blessing, a miracle. And I look forward to continuing to move forward. So much teaching in this time. Thank you so much for those gifts.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you.
So to the mending of the sacred oop and the healing of the earth and the restoration. Blessings, Miigwech, Skin and Koa, Doksha. Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Nakash.
Thank you.
Whoop it up.
Good night.
Good night. Till we meet.